All right, I think we're live. Hello, hello. Thank you to everybody for being patient that was waiting for a few minutes while I was getting uh, ready to go here. Let me know if my audio is super quiet, by the way. Been having some interesting adventures with this mic for the last couple days, but hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys did not draft early in fantasy this year because there's been a lot of injuries, some trades. This year's kind of the poster child for why you wait until the last possible moment to fantasy draft, or else you will get screwed. Uh, Shout out to all the people that drafted Travis Etienne in the fifth round like 3 weeks ago. You're you're going through it. Audio is good. Okay. So I'm gonna share this in chat because I want to fill this draft with you guys, especially the ones that have been waiting patiently. Like you guys should get first dibs here. Copy to clipboard. All right. If you guys are already signed up on Underdog, it'll be a little bit easier to fill that draft because you already have an account. But if not, I'm gonna be doing a lot more drafts before kickoff, and hopefully maybe a little bit even this weekend as well, and of course early next week because we all got to get ready for our drafts the following weekend because there's kind of like a bye week type thing. So again, if you want to check out Underdog Fantasy, which is the platform that I play on, use promo code Brett. Down that link below, you get $25 free to use in any contest on the platform you want, including their Best Ball Mania tournament, which has $3.5 million in prizes, including $1 million to first prize, and its best ball format, which I happen to enjoy quite a lot. I've been extolling the virtues of best ball on this channel for the last few weeks because it really is a lot less stressful way to play fantasy football, in my opinion. Okay, we got one filled. Yes, this is best ball draft, by the way, just so you guys are aware. And I'm sure some of you will be drafting using my rankings against me, so I am fully expecting to get sniped, but that's okay. It's the price we pay for putting out our own rankings. I think I should try it out this year. Absolutely, fantasy's fun. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. You guys can let me know, but I feel like I care a lot more about watching teams that are not my own if I at least have some sort of fantasy stake in the game, or like if I bet on the game or something like that. It just helps me just to kind of get into it a little bit more. And I feel like, yeah, like watching football is great. We all love watching football, but watching football is even better when you're down by 7 and you got Odell in the 1 p.m. slot. Then it's fun and stressful, but fun. Am I comfortable taking Dobbins round 3? Hell yeah. The thing is, he just won't be there. At least I'd be surprised if he's there, unless it's like an 8-man league or something like that. I'd be very surprised if Dobbin makes it to third. Like second, I can see because there's a lot of running backs, a lot of receivers. Sometimes they could slip through the cracks. But third round, yeah, take him. All right, how many spots are we still waiting to fill this league? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, 7 more spots available for this best ball draft. It's only a $3 draft, by the way. I don't want to make you guys enter into the 10 or 15, 10 or $25 drafts if you don't want to. So I just, when I draft with you guys, I tend to do the $3 league. So it kind of opens it up to more people. And remember, if you're using that promo code, you get $25 to use on the platform anyway. So you can do a lot more than just $3 drafts if you so choose. But for now, we'll just do $3. Drafting sucks early, got screwed by Henderson. Yeah, a lot of people got screwed by a lot of things. The Michael Thomas, like the people that drafted in like July, the very few brave people that drafted in July got screwed by Michael Thomas. People taking him like the first round, and now he's going. Some leagues he's going undrafted, which is crazy. But stuff changes fast in the NFL. What about the guys that took Akers and Etienne? They just lose, right? Like if you took Akers and Etienne, you call it quits for the year. I think that's the rule. Just God didn't want you to win your fantasy trophy this year. Why am I so high on Swift compared to the industry? I think people are kind of taking Dan Campbell's comments, what's the word? Not too literally, but I think they're putting a little bit too much stock into Dan Campbell saying like, "Oh, well, we don't know if he's ready week 1. We don't know if he'll be in game shape." Like he started practicing again and was taking a normal amount of reps. Like I understand he was nursing the groin, they were being very cautious with it, but he started practicing and at least according to some of the beat reporters out there, he seemed fine. So I do kind of think that that might have been, I don't want to say it's like gamesmanship, but I do feel like Campbell was being purposefully ambiguous on his health status because what motivation does he have to say, oh, yeah, he's 100%, he's doing great? Like, nah, if you don't have to say that he's 100%, don't say that he's 100%. Not saying he is 100%, but I'm saying, like, I don't know. I just take it with a grain of salt. And just when I look at Deandre Swift, the talent, he's an incredibly talented running back, probably going to get all or at least most of the passing down work for them. And remember, when you're drafting a running back, you're also drafting their offensive line. And I happen to believe that the Lions' offensive line is going to be pretty damn good at run blocking. So that's why I tend to be higher on Swift compared to most people, because until I see him actively not getting snaps in week 1, I'm not sure I'm ready to say that he's DOA. And I just really like the player. First round half PPR, Eckler, Najee, Hopkins, Mixon. Eckler, for sure. Are people taking Najee in the first round? Is that a thing that's happening? I hope not. I hope nobody's taking Najee in the first 12 picks of a fantasy draft. That would be very surprising to me. Like I love Najee the player, but I mean, come on. Hopkins, I can see. Mixon again. The offensive line is still like they're fine, but I don't know. I think there's similarly talented running backs with better situations around them that you could take than Mixon in the first round right now. It's not that I don't love Mixon, but the Bengals themselves, I just have some minor doubts about. All right, looks like, do we have a full draft here? Seems like we do. So that's starting in 30 seconds. Who's got the first pick? Freaking Rekenstba? I'm going to butcher that so many times in this draft. I apologize. See, Baylor. Simple name, Baylor. How about that? Help me out here. How do you feel about stacking for best ball, i.e. Mahomes and Kelsey? Yeah, do it. Absolutely do it. Because then it's kind of like, yeah, if like the offense overall has a down week, you're going to have a down week. But I don't really anticipate that many down weeks for the Chiefs. And I feel like the floor of Mahomes and Kelsey together as a stack, like you could get 40 points a week minimum just from those two. So I think it's a good idea. How would I adjust my rankings for 2 quarterback? Draft quarterbacks first. Fuck everything else. Quarterback, then worry about the other positions. And then you could take a third quarterback a little bit later on. But as much as, you know, like Dalvin would be tempting and stuff like that, every time that I don't go quarterback early in 2 quarterback leagues, I get absolutely killed. All right, let's see here. Zeke, Aaron, Eckler, Taylor. Aaron's my highest rated, so I'm going to go Aaron. Easy money. Again, I like to go double running back early and then hammer other positions for these kind of drafts. Unless all of you just take running back from me, and then I have to kind of pivot. But let's see. I'm in a keeper league, and I have Chubb and D-Hop. Should I go RB in the first or TE Wasp? Chubb and D-Hop. I guess it depends on who's there. Because keepers can kind of throw a wrench into things. Let me see how many picks I have left till me. Okay, I got a little while. Yeah, keepers can kind of throw a wrench into things in terms of who is there. I would say if like the first like 12 running backs are gone and like the first like 6 receivers or something are gone by then, Like, it's not a bad pick. I don't know. It just depends on who's there. I would say consult the rankings but like worst case scenario, if you have to take Waller, yeah, you're fine. Because then you have an elite running back, an elite receiver, and an elite tight end. Like you're not in a disadvantaged position if you do that. So, but just it depends on who's there. You never know. Keepers are so tough to like predict draft wise because it's just you don't know who's on the board. Oh, we have a guest, everybody. Josh Norris.
Yes, you do.
Joining us. How you doing?
Can you hear me, man?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Perfect.
I think the chat can hear you too.
How you doing, bud?
Part of this draft here. I got Aaron Jones at the 1-7.
Love it.
Let me open up this here.
Oh, this is perfect. Tyreek Hill. I mean, whoever got Tyreek at the 202, that's lovely.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised. I mean, considering it's best ball, and Tyreek tends to go earlier in best ball.
So it's funny. I've been looking back on it, and some drafts that were done in June, only one tight end and one wide receiver were going in round 1. And Brett, as of late, 3 wide receivers and obviously Travis Kelce is starting to go in round 1. And even Calvin Ridley, you see him at like the 112 a lot now.
There's been a lot of Ridley hype.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of Ridley. All right, let me see what I got here. Running back and receivers available. Ooh, man, a lot of receivers.
I guess this comes down to
here.
So is this a private draft or is this Best Ball Mania 2? What is this? Puppy?
This is private.
This is private. Okay.
With me and people in this lovely chat right now.
So that means I'm sure the wide receivers will stay on the board a little more longer than typical with the other.
I don't know about that because these people go out for blood, man. They just want to wreck me.
They love their orange juice. Get all of those orange players off the board.
They want to ruin my life. So I'm expecting Elijah Moore to go in like the 4th round. To be honest. There's Swift. I was thinking about taking Swift too, but I also just got screwed out of so many receivers last time that like I'm kind of drafting scared now, and I just wanted to get somebody, you know.
Mm-hmm. I also think there's a tier break after DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I think he's on the window there. It's interesting when you look at the Cardinals at large. Last year, they dealt with a ton of adversity, and maybe Nuke didn't because, you got like 160 targets and only 6 targets I look back on were on the right side of the formation. You know how he uses them. But,
yeah,
I mean, if that team, because the differences in Kyler's game in like the first half versus the second half when like he was the most accomplished rusher at quarterback in the NFL, like it was such a play that was impossible to defend. And then like the second half of the year after that shoulder injury, like if he is able to mirror what he did in the first 8-10 games of last year, we could see a quarterback 1 season from Kyler. I truly believe that.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised just because he's so physically gifted.
Yeah,
like he's got a cannon for an arm. He runs low 4.4. It really just depends on how well they protect him because it's very similar to Russ, and I love Russ. But when there's interior pressure on Russell Wilson, there is a monumental drop in the effectiveness of the Seahawks passing game. And I saw kind of similar things with Arizona. And I remember I was talking to Curtis Conway, and this was it when Manziel was coming out, I think. And he was commenting it even back then where it's like, hey, if a quarterback is under 6'2" and there's interior pressure, he can't see me running over the middle, and I can't see him. So it does kind of take away a significant chunk of the field, unless it's like an anomaly like Drew Brees, who could just feel it without seeing it. But I do tend to see with the Cardinals offense that when Kyler is interiored or has interior pressure, and you saw this in the Giants game, shit goes south pretty quick.
All right, who are we taking here?
Who do I got? Amari, I don't know about the Cowboys, man. Dak's worrying me. I do like Dave Montgomery, but I'm going to go Woods. Old reliable
I love this.
For me.
A lot of people in their fantasy bubble. Go ahead.
I've never regretted taking Robert Woods ever.
Yeah.
For like 7 years.
A lot of people in our fantasy bubble get concerned with him because on paper, his average depth of target has dropped each year. I would say that's more of a Jared Goff stat than it is a Robert Woods stat. And like there is a reason why they pinpointing Matthew Stafford as his player. I mean, we're going to see so many more intermediate and downfield plays rather than, someone in Jared Goff who was, average intended air yards per throw was bottom 5 in the NFL over the last 2 years. So,
yeah. Let's see, Allen was gone. Terry was gone. I thought it did look a little thin. Lockett went right after.
AJ Brown at the 306. I mean,
with the knee is tough. If you asked me a week ago, sure.
I'll still take him there. I will 100% still take him there.
Oh, fucking God! I was hoping Ayuk would get back to me. God damn it!
This is your room, Brett.
I know people listen to me for some reason. Maximus, you killing me, dude. I didn't say his name once. I didn't even look at him. And he got Godwin. Dude, his draft, Zeke, Clyde, Ayuk, Godwin.
With God. CEH, and I love him and what could potentially happen with him this year. Actually, Brett, like in tournament leagues, he's going at like the 301 or the 302. Like he's staying on the board for that long, which is wild to me. Wild to me.
Crazy. Accidentally got auto-drafted for a portion of my team. Thoughts on Julio's fit with the Titans and if Cam is a fine dual-threat quarterback for fantasy? I think Cam is absolutely a fine dual-threat for fantasy if he plays. But I do think the absence this past week opened the door for Mac Jones a little bit earlier than maybe we thought. Now, Cam did take reps with the ones when he got back yesterday. But I think that joint practice with the Giants showed the Patriots staff that Mac's pretty damn good, and he might get on the field earlier than we think. So Cam is a little bit riskier of a pick now than he was a week ago. Man, I don't know about Henderson here. I'm not super.
I think you got to skip running back and then get one the next round. DJ Moore, why not?
Yeah, I know. It's just God. Here's the thing. I'll do it in best ball.
Okay.
But any other format other than best ball, I'd be a little bit concerned there just because I think they're going to spread the ball so much. But DJ's so dynamic with the ball in his hands, and he's a good deep threat where he's going to be that guy this year where it's like 4 points, 5 points, 6 points, 25, 11, 30.
Yeah.
It's going to be all over the place. So it works in best ball. Like he's going to win me a couple of weeks in best ball.
Well,
in normal leagues, I'd be a little bit concerned.
What do you think is a season high so far in his 3 years for DJ Moore for receiving touchdowns? Or let's just say total touchdowns in a single season.
8, maybe?
4.
Really?
So what if positive touchdown regression hits for DJ Moore and he just doubles it to 8, which a ton of wide receivers do. A ton of wide receivers have that, especially with the Panthers last year being so terrible in the red zone. Like you have to think that Joe Brady went to work this offseason with, the additions of Dan Arnold and Terrace Marshall and said, hey, because DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson combined for just 7 receiving touchdowns last year. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we get, I truly believe that DJ Moore is this close to a tremendous breakout season. Like he's already there, I believe, among the top 30 wide receivers in the NFL, but how dynamic he is with the ball in his hands. And like you said, even as a deep threat, and he's pretty good in contested catches as well. If we get to 8 touchdowns, the ceiling for him, I think he's absolutely going to crush for you in round 4.
Yeah, I just get worried because DJ Moore, the football player, and DJ Moore, the fantasy asset, I think are 2 very different things. And I think how big I am on Terrace Marshall.
Oh yeah, me too.
I'm pretty sure that anywhere inside the 25 is Terrace Marshall.
I love that so much.
And it scares the crap out of me as a newly minted DJ Moore owner. I still had Moore as I think I had him a 5th in my last PPR rankings. But it scares me. Even though I am high on him, I only have him that high just because I love him as a talent. But it scares me because I know that they have a lot of good players there.
They do.
Odell.
They had 4 1,000 scrimmage yard players last year too, and I would expect that to repeat itself. With Terrace in the fold and commanding that spot. So you are still firmly in the Darrell Henderson is going to have the most points in the Rams backfield camp. 100%.
Yes. And there's a lot of people that got really scared off by the Sony Michel trade. And don't get me wrong, Sony Michel is going to be a thing for them. He'll be a short yardage back. They'll probably bring him in on goal line. But I still think the most dynamic running back there is Henderson. And if Michel was still a dynamic running back, would they have traded him away in favor of Ramondre Stevenson and JJ Taylor and James White? Like, no. Like, the Patriots got rid of him for a reason, you know, and the Rams are only bringing him in to take snaps away from Henderson so that Henderson doesn't, you know, completely implode with injuries. But like, Henderson, I think, is just still the better player. And I tend to just draft for talent and then kind of let situation figure itself out. Hence me having trepidation about DJ Moore, but still taking him anyway, just because I love the talent. I don't feel like Michel is like a threat as a talent to Henderson.
Can I play devil's advocate here for a moment? Because I think I mostly agree with you, but I feel like in every turn where Darrell Henderson could be the lead back on the Rams in each of the last 2 seasons, they have made a decision to go in the opposite. Like they've kind of shown their cards with that, right? Like Darrell Henderson had the opportunity prior to last year, then they go and spend a 2nd round pick on Cam Akers. Now, Cam Akers was hurt for a little bit, so you know Darrell Henderson got that workload at points last year, and then now with Cam Akers injured once again, Darrell Henderson, when he was drafted to be, you know, this change of pace back, even in their eyes, now has that opportunity, and boom, they go and add someone. So like, I mean, again, round 5 isn't extreme draft capital there, but I do wonder if it's that much different than backs you could have gotten in potentially round 6. We're seeing, you know, Javonte Williams there. Right after that's Mike Davis, Trey Sermon, Damian Harris is going to be coming up. Like, that's all areas to me, which is called the running back dead zone, which I just don't agree, like in totality, as this blanket statement that we should avoid. But I think you're right in identifying maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of the group of 7 that you do believe in. And if you get those right, then that's a huge difference of getting those again in round 5, round 6 versus like the round 1, round 2 area.
Now,
and here's another one.
This is half PPR. You know, I'm a big believer in Myles Gaskin, but I'm weighing him against Visca, against Debo, against Odell.
Or you could go Robbie and get Sam Darnold later and just buy into that offense. I'd go Odell. That's what I would go. Because I think you got your 2 running backs.
Well.
And especially because you have like this anchor running back at the start. This is kind of a common build that a lot of people are pushing towards now. And then you have someone in Darrell Henderson who has a ceiling of another feature back. And then follow it up maybe either with a rookie in a little bit, like a Michael Carter if you want to, or with running back insurance types. Alexander Madison, whoever else you want as we go along.
Pollard,
AJ Dillon,
you know,
Pollard.
those kind of guys.
Yep.
To get back to the Henderson thing real quick, I think a lot of people saw the Michel trade as an indictment on Henderson. Is it wrong of me to interpret it more as an indictment on like Xavier Jones and Jake Funk?
No, I think that's fair too.
I think because I you know, Jake Funk has been reportedly very, you know, he's a late round pick, so it's like whatever. It's not like a huge story, but supposedly he's been rather inconsistent in camp. And I do kind of wonder if Sean saw the writing on the wall and said, look, if we give Henderson 15 carries a game, or even just 15 touches a game, and he gets hurt, then we have nobody.
Yeah.
So I almost think it was more about that than anything else. Let's see, who else do we got here? I just want to check on Maximus's draft because he was killing it. Let's see, Andrews in the 5th.
Oh, stack Andrews and Lamar at the turn.
Yeah.
I like it.
Man, his team is good.
Especially getting Andrews there as the tight end 6.
Oh,
like
look at
Hockenson
this
and him.
Chiefs stack.
Yep.
Kelsey, Tyreek, Pat. That's a lot of stacks here.
Yep.
Fucking Trey Sermon gone like 4 picks before me. It's so annoying. So annoying. You have no idea.
Has he impressed you this preseason? I mean, he's had to have.
I mean, the contact balance has been evident.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know if I've seen him take a loss yet.
Yeah.
And there were a couple runs that he should have taken a loss, and he just didn't. I think Kyle loves the fact that he gets everything out of every single run, even if it's not as dynamic as Mostert. He's not going to fall over to a stiff breeze like Mostert either. So
Right. And I think it's so evident why they're keeping Mostert on the sideline right now is because he is that like the most explosive running back in the NFL in terms of miles per hour. And they don't have like a replacement for that if that goes down. So getting, 30, 35% of the touches to that, and then Trey Sermon getting 50% of them, and the running back 3 who, has led in touches in the NFL over the last few years for the 49ers. That to me is like an awesome formula to win for them in the running game.
Mike Williams and Devonta both went. That's annoying. I'm not wild about the running backs.
What about Corey Davis?
Ooh, that's an intriguing one, especially because he's really emerged as like
his
the
ADP,
absolute
his
one.
ADP is kind of in flux right now because of that. And people just don't know how to interpret because he was going.
Oh no, it took Juju. Fuck. No.
Those 30-second clocks will get you, Brett.
Of all the things to auto draft, you give me the wide receiver 3 on the fucking Steelers? Oh no.
Those 30-second clocks will get you.
Oh God. Man, I'm so sad.
Especially if they run more 12 personnel this year with Freiermuth.
And they took Corey Davis, they took Corey Davis 1 pick later. I'm so annoyed. So fucking annoyed. Oh my God. I got.
There's still so many good. I mean, those bottom 4 right now that you see in Jalen Waddle, Curtis Samuel, Marvin Jones, Michael Pittman. I want like every single one of those on my team right now. Every single one. And Elijah Moore, like give me all 5.
Fucking assholes. Views on Packers running backs. I mean, how can you not love Aaron Jones? And AJ Dillon's just an absolute hammer. Like, I think it's a great 1-2 punch. And I do want to see if they get Dillon a little bit more involved in the pass game this year. He's kind of built like Derrick Henry, where the most you could probably do with him is like a throwback screen or something like that. But I would like to see them do it because I think he can. But I think it's one of the most balanced and also one of the most dynamic running back duos in the entire league. I think everything that Dillon does well that maybe Jones doesn't, and everything that Jones does well that maybe Dillon doesn't, I think it complements each other very well. Let's see here. Why are you so high on Austin Hooper's while others are not? That's a belief in the system and what that system has done for tight ends in the past. When tight ends stay healthy in that system, they tend to be high volume second level options because they absolutely love running flood over and over and over again. I think Hooper's going to be a beneficiary of that, just like Jarvis Landry will. Speaking of Jarvis, I kind of like a stack with Odell.
Okay.
Just so that no matter what, if one's going off and the other isn't, I get a piece of that Browns passing game kind of regardless. I like that stack. Maybe I could pick up Baker a little bit later and just kind of roll.
What is your isolated evaluation or view of Baker Mayfield as a player?
A accurate, good decision maker with good arm talent, decent mobility, but also somebody who I think will get in his own way with hero ball at times. So being in a little bit more regimented of a system like he's in now, very play action heavy, very heavy in terms of like half field reads on like bootlegs and stuff, where it's like hit this guy, or hit this guy. It's a series of if then statements. And I think that, you take the, I don't want to say like putting a leash on him or anything like that, but I just think kind of putting him in that controlled environment of a very regimented Kevin Stefanski system.
Sometimes trading wheels.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that, but I think
I think it's great to have him like
equation.
Yeah, I think it's great to have him in structure. Like that offensive line keeps him playing at his highest level. He's
Yeah,
not one
and
of
I
these
think
magicians.
when he's not playing hero ball, then the accuracy shines, especially his accuracy out of the pocket, because that's what he's really special at. Is
Yeah.
throwing on the move outside the numbers.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so high on Stefanski as a hires, because I knew like the few good plays that he had under Freddie Kitchens were when he was on the move outside the number or throwing outside the numbers. And I was like, well, that's what that system does.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, they go to the playoffs and Baker has his best year. So I like him in this offense for sure.
I've been so impressed with Stefanski and Andrew Berry, where, I mean, we even saw it in that same organization for decades. You know, coaches go in there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, decision makers too, and they like aren't able to establish their vision. And then they went in there, and after a year, we exactly know what the Browns are. We saw how good they were last season. You sprinkle some Odell onto that this year. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. Baker, his career high in touchdowns, 27 his rookie year, 26 last year in passes. I wouldn't be shocked if we get to 35 this season. And he's not being drafted like that at all.
I kind of want running back here, but I don't know. Pollard's not a bad idea. Or Gus. I kind of like Gus here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with that. I'm a huge Gus Bus fan. 9th round seems fair. At least in best ball, it seems fair. I might take him a little bit earlier in certain other formats, but because I feel like the carry split with Dobbins is going to be a little bit more towards 50-50 than people think. But both of them are going to be so efficient with the ball in their hands. Like they're still going to perform very well. Like that's not me saying that Dobbins should like fall. But I do think that Edwards is going to be more involved as a quote unquote backup running back than maybe most other backup running backs are. So at least in best ball, I think there's a decent chance that he could have like a 50-yard touchdown or 2 touchdown game here and there and probably win me a week or 2.
Yeah. It's almost random based on who is the one that gets that one goal line carry to score the touchdown, because all 3 are so good at it in Lamar, in JK, and in Gus.
And they'll put them on the same backfield too on goal line, and they'll have JK be the sweep guy. They'll have Gus be the dive guy and Lamar be the pull guy when they run all that option stuff on the goal line. And you literally don't know which one's going to get the ball. And even they don't know who's going to get the ball because it just depends on what the defense is doing. And so it's kind of a coin flip. And if Gus is going to get 40 or 50 yards a game, which I think is very doable if he ends up with like 600 or 700 for the year, and then he gets like 8 touchdowns, like it's pretty good. At least for a 9th round pick. I mean, God. Drop Zach Moss, Michael Carter, or Latavius Murray for Mooney. Oh, Murray.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't even know if Murray's going to make the team.
Correct.
Like, that's easy.
It's Tony Jones season.
Sean Payton seems to love Tony Jones
I know.
Like a lot, which I don't blame him. I think he's exciting, but Latavius Murray is absolutely on the roster bubble for sure. All right. Should I start looking at tight end here? That's the question.
So I think Higbee is and Goddard are the 2 left in this like almost sweet spot of tight end, where Noah Fant and Logan Thomas are typically as well.
And I think Goddard's going to score a lot too. I think he's going to be their red zone guy. Yeah, I like that. I'll go Goddard. So let's see. I got receivers out the wazoo, an anchor running back, kind of a we'll see running back, a reliable number 2 in Gus.
Who, if something happens to J.K. Dobbins, could go nuclear.
RB1. Top 12 running back if JK goes out. Easy. Yeah. Not even a discussion for me. Knock on wood. I mean, we want JK to be healthy.
Oh, of course.
If he's not. So Fields and Lance are already gone. Not super surprising to me.
Let's who are the quarterbacks left?
Oh, Jalen's probably the best one. Well, was the best one.
I got to say, Brett, I think that Trevor Lawrence, I understand it's all been negative so far right now in terms of the preseason and people's approach with Urban Meyer, but he's going as quarterback 16 right now for a guy who had 18 combined rushing touchdowns over the last 2 years, and they're going to throw the football a lot this year. That to me is where I'm pointing to as like the best value among quarterbacks at the moment. But
let's see. In my quarterback rankings, I have Trevor above Kirk. And I'm slightly above Lance and Fields just because we know he's actually going to be on the field week 1.
But then those guys, I mean, Lance is being drafted as the quarterback 10 right now on Underdog. And yeah.
Really?
And Fields is the quarterback 15. So they're both going ahead of Trevor Lawrence. That's my point here.
Lance is QB 10. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I mean, like, I don't entirely disagree that he's worth drafting early, but that's earlier than I thought. Wow. Marquis Callaway in the 10th round. Damn. People caught on to that pretty quick, huh?
Yes.
I don't know if your ADP data, it takes like the whole offseason into account or not, but it's got to be. I genuinely wonder what his ADP over like the last 5 days is compared to 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so he's going as wide receiver 59, I think, over the last 3 days is what Hayden and I pull it from. Sorry, there's an awful storm outside. And so wide receiver 59 is one spot after where Terrace Marshall is going, a few spots after Henry Ruggs and Rondale Moore. So he's started going in that range where if you want him, you absolutely have to take him in this area. Like if you want him certifiably on your team.
And let's see who took him. Let me get the name. Jabba Slow. Callaway Jameis stack is not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. Because I'm pretty sure Jameis is the guy there. If not officially announced. I think we've all kind of seen it is officially okay. Yeah, I didn't even see that it was official. Let's see.
It was East Coast time, Brett.
Yeah, well, you know me, West Coast people. I don't even wake up till like noon your time. Man, I
think that was a great point. Whoever said that in the chat, or if you did, I mean, that is possibly the most affordable stack we could possibly get for most of the summer. It was Zach Wilson and Corey Davis, or Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore, however you want to do it. But like I said, with Marquez Callaway going as wide receiver 59, Jameis Winston going as quarterback 28, I mean, that's so affordable. So affordable.
I don't hate it at all. I took Trevor just because even though I have him ranked behind some of the other quarterbacks that are still there, I feel like the upside with him, because again, in best ball, we're shooting for upside.
Yeah.
Like I want, like, as much as I love Baker Mayfield, I think he's more of the steady Eddie play.
I mean, would it be the worst idea to get two quarterbacks almost back to back here? Because
no, well, I mean, considering I invested so much in receiver already.
Yeah.
But it does depend on who's there, because I got a couple receivers that I'm looking at. Because I don't want to get snaked out of all my dudes like I did last time. So I'm just kind of hammering it this time and seeing what I end up with. God, running back just fucking falls off a cliff.
Mm-hmm. Definitely does.
J.D. McKissick, low key. Good late round pickup. He's going to get all the third down work. There was a question of like why I don't have Antonio Gibson, like, you know, round 1 or like high round 2 guy. And it's like J.D. McKissick. That's why.
Yeah.
Like he's going to get all the catches. Dude, are you okay?
That was like right outside.
That lightning was like literally right there. Is that the hurricane that's going up the coast?
That was last weekend. This is like some tiny little cluster that's right next to us. You mentioned, Antonio Gibson. I'm right there with you. I think a lot of people are trying to force on Washington and him this role that they think he can have. But J.D. McKissick is a legit football player and especially at that role. And it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen. And I'm with you. Like those first 14 running backs and the 13 to me range from Christian McCaffrey down to maybe Jonathan Taylor, CEH, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris. I think Antonio Gibson is that 14th that's right in between there and like the J.K. Dobbins, Chris Carson grouping as well.
I think I can rock Jonnu Smith as my primary tight end. That's rich for me, I think. Maybe last year, you know, with the Titans situation, where his best competition was like Anthony Ferguson, but this year if Hunter Henry stays healthy, Hunter Henry's the guy there, I think.
But they are going to lead the NFL in 12 personnel.
You're not wrong. I am doubling up with Baker, by the way, to get that.
I love this
bucket. Why not?
I love that move.
I worry about red zone touches for Jonnu, because I think it's all going to go to either Jacoby or Hunter Henry, again, if Hunter's healthy. And I think in terms of scoring potential, we're doing the same thing that we've been doing with Jonnu for the last couple of years, which is relying on yards after catch opportunities, which he's a very good yards after catch tight end. But I mean, the margin for error there is slim in terms of trying to get touchdowns out of him. I think he's going to be like a better real life football player than fantasy football player this year, at least based on his new situation.
Now, to the person who asked their question, to your point, I mean, he's going as tight end 14. So if that was the first tight end you selected, then hopefully the rest of your team is just absolutely loaded, and maybe you can piece together something at tight end if Jonnu doesn't work. I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you, Brett, where I believe one of those Patriots tight ends is going to smash where they're going. And right now, the differences in ADP, at least an underdog, Jonnu's going as tight end 14. Hunter Henry's going as tight end 21. So there's a massive difference between the two.
Where's Jawan from the Saints going?
He's actually a wide receiver listed on our platform.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you think underdog will add some sort of
we can't once things
designation?
Open. We can't once things open, because that's how he was drafted this year.
Yeah, those position switches can cause a lot of havoc in terms of fantasy.
Yep.
Especially with the wide receiver / running back types.
We have some players in there as just jokes, and Tim Tebow was in there right after the draft when we did Underdog Palooza, and that's a quarterback, and then obviously he gets signed as a tight end, and so that throws a wrench into everything too.
I hope nobody actually drafted Tebow.
I should pull up the exposure. For a while there, Brett, there were people drafting Tim Tebow in round 18, which was pretty ridiculous.
Well, because people were like, well, they have no tight ends. And it's like, well, okay, but Tebow's not a tight end. He's just not. Sorry. Oh, God. I know there's a lot of upset Gator fans in the chat.
I think Alexander Madison is a smash spot here. You talk about getting tentacles and roots to other backfields that you don't have right now. And if Dalvin Cook goes down for 3, 5, 7 games, Alexander Madison becomes a top 15 running back each and every week.
Well, even if Dalvin doesn't go down, I think Madison gets enough touches that, again, it only takes breaking one, or it only takes one touchdown. If you have 30 yards and a touchdown, it's still 9, maybe 10 points, throwing a catch there. He could still absolutely, even as a number 2 in that specific offense, because remember, they have a top 3 or 4 run blocking offensive line. I think in an ideal world, they're going to run the ball 30 plus times a game.
Yeah.
And they're not giving Dalvin all 30 of those carries. If Madison's getting 10 carries a game, even if he's got pedestrian 4.5 yards a carry and he gets 6 touchdowns, there's going to be a couple of weeks there where he pays off for you. So, and for what is it? 13th round pick. Yeah. All day. Let's see.
So how do you think you're going to, you've got your 2 quarterbacks. I doubt you take another one. You have your 4, I think, really strong running backs. I think we might need to look at some wide receivers here to fill out that room a little bit more, at least 2 or 3 more of those names.
Who do I think are some of the most overrated players?
In fantasy.
Yeah, in fantasy. Man, that's tough. I see people taking Thielen in the 3rd round. Hard disagree on that. I still see people drafting Ruggs very, very early. And again, at least for fantasy purposes, I think I'm fading him in the 9th or 10th round where some people are taking him, and I'm taking Bryan Edwards instead. Galladay for sure. I think people
Oh
are
yeah,
not paying enough attention to his injury issues. Again, we're just talking overrated fantasy, not overrated
he's going as wide
actual
receiver
football skills.
31 still, Brett.
And I don't even think he's practicing yet.
No, he's not.
And the games are in like 10 days.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm like I'm not drafting Galladay at all at this point.
Yeah.
Like I have him ranked, but I'm just not taking him.
I'll give you mine. It's in relation to two others. Like, I think it's wild that Marvin Jones is being drafted as a distant third wide receiver on his own team at wide receiver 50, when LaVisca Chenault is wide receiver 35, DJ Chark is wide receiver 40. I think there's a very clear path to Marvin Jones being that team's like top wide receiver production leader this season. And I think he's their number one wide receiver.
Even if he doesn't beat out Visca, because I think Visca is going to be the volume guy there, I still think he could beat out Chark in terms of overall point. I mean, they seem to really like him and really want to use him a lot. And Urban seems to love him. Do I want... yeah, kind of like KJ Hamler here.
Love this.
High upside, super high upside.
Especially for the type of build that you have in DeAndre Hopkins, volume, Juju Smith-Schuster by accident, volume, hopefully, Jarvis or Odell, volume. And then, I mean, you have this big play guy when in like the 2 or 3 or maybe 4 weeks that he has that like 60-yard touchdown, boom, there's your spiked week that gets chosen for you. You don't have to put that in your own lineup. So I love KJ Hamler in this area.
Yeah, he was on the field for like one series with Drew Lock, and they got a quarters look and hit the backside post to him for like a 65-yard touchdown or something like that.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, that's what they brought him in for, just for that one catch, and he's damn good at it. Got to hit the LaCroix while we're drafting. One of my well, you guys know him, EJ Snyder, my podcast partner. I had never had LaCroix before in my life before he came down to my house. And
was this recently?
This was like a week and a half ago. I have never drank so much water in my entire life since I got cases of LaCroix in this house. It's so much better for my health.
Top 3 flavors, Brett. Name them.
Dude, the limoncello.
Yeah?
It's amazing. I feel like I'm just drinking soda all day. Let's see. Sammy Watkins. I'm not super big on Sammy. Cole Kmet, maybe, depending on how tight end is really thin this year.
It's going to be on the field all the time.
Have we got word on what Troutman's injury is yet? The foot or ankle? Have we got word on how bad it is?
It seems like week 1 is the target time for Adam Troutman.
See, I got scared off of Troutman because even when he was healthy and on the field, they were still throwing it to Juwan anyway.
Yep. The
like,
thing is,
it kind of seemed like that's their guy.
Yeah. Hayden and I talk about this, and Hayden discovered something that really tight end fantasy points are often correlated to how much time they spend in the slot and not in line. And it certainly sounds like Adam Troutman's going to be the inline tight end, kind of like he was last year with Jared Cook in the slot.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnson might be the one who plays more slot snaps. So
yeah, like whether Troutman's on the field or not, and again, they're looking for a big slot because they don't have Michael Thomas right now. And I kind of feel like that's, while Mike is gone, because you could put Callaway outside and have Juwan as your big slot, Troutman as your inline, Kamara coming out of the backfield, just kind of hodgepodging themselves back together, this offense. Let's see. What number wide receiver is he going at? Probably pretty damn late, I got to imagine, right?
Yeah.
All right, we got for running backs. Damien Williams, I kind of like here.
It's another good one.
Yeah.
Where's Tony Jones? Did he go pretty early? You want to type that in?
I don't know if I have time.
Yeah, I think this is a
Damien, just in case. Because, again, I'm just building insurance if guys go down at this point. I'm just taking everybody's backups. Gus Edwards, Alex Madison, Damien Williams. Statistically, one of them is going to pay off.
Once you get past round 12, I think that's the way to go. I mean, that's the only way to go at running back, other than pass catchers like J.D. McKissick, like you mentioned, Giovanni Bernard, so on and so forth.
And the pass catching thing is big because Tariq Cohen is still not right.
Correct.
And I think if anybody's going to get third down snaps for them, like Dave Montgomery can do it, but in the interest of limiting workload and exposure for Montgomery, I wouldn't be surprised if Damien's the third down guy while Tariq is still fighting back from injury, which God knows when he's going to be 100%, if at all this year.
There's Tony Jones at the bottom of the list. He's interesting. So is Darrington Evans, because talk about like identity backs. Obviously, Derrick Henry is that for the Titans. Yeah, there we go. Appreciate you.
It's so hard to draft on stream, dude. It's so hard. Should have just said Xavier Jones, see if he took the bait.
Right.
Oh, God. See if I missed any super chats here. Thoughts on Bengals receiver room? Phenomenally deep.
Yep.
I don't really buy this whole narrative like, oh, Jamar Chase dropped 3 passes in a preseason game. He's a bust. Let's give the guy like a month to settle into the NFL. He hasn't really played many snaps at all in like the last 22 calendar months. Like let's calm down a little bit. I still remember how incredibly talented Jamar Chase is. We've seen what T. Higgins is. We've seen what Tyler Boyd is. Their receiving core is incredible, even just with the top 3. And then like when I look at their depth chart behind them, let's see who they got, because I think they had like 7 guys. Yeah, Auden Tate, big body, physical. Trent Taylor, very reliable slot option, just in case the worst happens to Tyler Boyd. The other, Mike Thomas. Trent Irwin was a guy that I liked coming out a couple years ago. Like, they got a lot of dudes in the Bengals receiving core.
Jamar Chase has dropped a few spots. He was wide receiver 21. He's going as wide receiver 25 now on Underdog. In fact, T. Higgins is going over him at wide receiver 22. The one I keep going back to is Tyler Boyd at wide receiver 32. I'm a bit lower, like, of the ceiling for the Bengals passing game than everyone else was, because they were kind of being treated like the AFC North version of the Cowboys for a bit. But all that we know about Zach Taylor is that he has a high neutral pass rate and that they're going to throw the football a lot.
I took Tyrell here because all reports coming out of camp are that he is like the number one on the outside for them. Wouldn't be surprised if Amon-Ra still out targets him, but in terms of like yards per catch, touchdown potential because of his size, I think Tyrell is the outside receiver to own for the Lions, and getting a potential number 1 receiver for any NFL team in the 16th round is a pretty good value to me. I will admit, though, that I thought about going DPJ and just going all Browns, but I didn't want to invest too much. Although if Odell got hurt, I would just be fine no matter what. Let's see. So I got 2 more picks to go.
Still need your tight end too.
Yeah. But I kind of clicked over there for a second and I saw a whole bunch of names that I wasn't super interested in then. Like Donald Parham, definitely one I'm looking at, because Freiermuth already went. So I was kind of like, that was my guy. Like Mo Alie Cox is really interesting to me as well there. Dan Arnold is actually got a lot of potential, especially Ebron as well, but Ebron I feel like is going to get vultured so much by Freiermuth.
You did not mention Grunk.
I don't know what to make of the Tampa tight ends.
Yeah,
because they got 3 of them, and OJ's back now.
Yep.
And I don't know. I that's like one of the position groups for them that I can't sort out because they just have so many guys.
I was on with John Ledyard yesterday on the Pewter Report. And
love that guy. He's great.
He was basically trying to say the same thing, that like they've been trying to make OJ Howard happen in camp after his Achilles injury last year, and that he's just fizzling out. Like he's not holding up as a blocker. And while they all thought that Gronk played way too many snaps last year, like that might just be another thing for him to do again this year.
It's a tough injury to come back from.
Oh yeah.
Really tough. God, man, I don't know about tight end here. It's possible possible Parham because I think his touchdown potential is really good. But I also like Dan Arnold. Yeah, I'm going to go Parham. I mean, 6'8", 245, moves way better than anybody with that build should be able to.
Justin Herbert.
And Justin Herbert. That's the thing. It's a great offense. When in doubt, invest in a great offense.
Yeah.
And he's a name that I don't think people pay attention too much. Because they lost 2 tight ends, I think, last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then they brought in Jared Cook, who already went. But I still feel like Parham over Cook in the red zone is going to be a thing. Let's see here. And then I got my last pick. So I got my 2 quarterbacks. I got my 2 tight ends. I got 5 running backs. Are we thinking receiver again?
Or you could triple up at tight end and get Dan Arnold. So you have 8 wide receivers. You have 8 wide receivers. I would say another wide receiver works.
Well, how often do you think Dan Arnold is going to outscore Dallas Goedert?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Dan Arnold's whole game is going to be living by touchdowns.
Yeah, which maybe he gets. Maybe. But just considering who else he's playing with.
What is Nico Collins' role going to be this year, Brett?
I like to think that he would work himself into a starting X position for them just because he's got, the size, the ball skills, the physicality. Like, I actually really like Nico coming out from Michigan. The question in terms of fantasy value is who's playing quarterback. Whether it's Mills, whether it's Taylor, it sounds like it's going to be Taylor for now. But even then, I don't know. I feel like Nico might not really get great or even passable volume in this offense until halfway through the year, which I guess is an 18th round pick again. If you're just gambling, but he's a guy that in normal fantasy formats where I actually have to pick starters and hope that he does well, I'm not drafting him.
Right.
In best ball, it's a little bit different because I just have to get lucky. But
I think it's pretty amazing how drastic his ADP is of 190 versus Brandon Cooks going in the top 90. I know Brandon Cooks has so much, historical production attached to his name. And I think a lot of people are just imparting, whatever opportunities left on the table because he is the quote unquote number 1 wide receiver. But
here's your other tight end.
Yeah. You want me to log into the back end and change that to tight end right now, Brett?
Yeah. Juwan Johnson, I think, legitimately has a chance to outproduce the 2 receivers I drafted ahead of him. I think there's a legitimate shot because the big slot role in that Saints offense is a thing. They emphasize that role so much because you get the size mismatch on typically a smaller DB. And anytime they get single high man coverage, it's like an auto check to slot fade. And Juwan Johnson is a big enough dude that if you're throwing a slot fade to him, there's very few nickel corners that I think are going to go up and beat him to that ball. I think he's going to be a really good option for them. So overall, my team, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Robert Woods, DJ Moore. Great foursome at receiver at the top. Darrell Henderson, risky, but high upside. Odell, fucking Juju. Jarvis, Gus Edwards, Dallas Goedert, Trevor Lawrence, Baker Mayfield, Alex Madison, KJ Hamler. Oh, God. Just went in the full draft. Here we go. Where am I at? KJ Hamler. There we are. Damien Williams, Tyrell Williams, Donald Parham, and Juwan Johnson. Thoughts?
I think the structure is really good of a 2-5-9-2, especially with the 5. I love how we spread across your running backs. I mean, there's a chance, like we talked about, where with the anchor running back, we're banking on Aaron Jones doing exactly what he did last year. And then hopefully one of Gus Edwards, Alexander Madison, and Damien Williams take on a much larger workload. And then, I mean, dude, you're so stacked at wide receiver. I understand the Juju pick, and that's not exactly where you wanted to go. But the
I don't
DeAndre
even know if
Hopkins,
Juju's.
I
I don't know
know.
if Juju's going to start for me like ever.
But when we consider on this platform that it's one quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers, and one tight end each and every week, I mean, it would be shocking if you don't have, three wide receivers of Nuke, Robert Woods, DJ Moore, and Odell, maybe also one of them as the flex. But then you have so many other outcomes to win your flex. And I think that's so important when we're talking about best ball. I think this is a solid team, super solid team.
I got Chenault and Chark on the bench. Keep or trade one. Trade Chark, in my opinion.
I agree.
Because I think Chenault, I think that Marvin Jones is going to get a lot more snaps in the role that we think Chark would have had. And I think Laviska is going to outcatch or outtouch every other receiver on that team. So if you're going to get rid of one, get rid of Chark. Josh and Brett, thoughts at 1.1 after failing on Robinson in the 4th and Gaskin / Hunt in the 5th.
They're probably in your draft. So can we pull up?
They're in my draft. Oh, here we go. So 1.1. So Christian McCaffrey, CD, Keenan, Julio, Jamar, Visca, Dak.
To pair with
Dak
CD.
one's risky. I get
it. But you're getting Dak in round 7 and also after Russell Wilson. So typically, And if you're taking CD that early, Brett, you're also believing draft as if you're correct. And CD's not going to be a second round wide receiver or whatever if Dak gets injured this year, right?
I love that. Draft as if you're correct. That's actually a really good advice. If you're going to lean into something, fucking lean into it.
Right.
Mecole. I question the Mecole pick.
Same.
Unless Tyreek gets it. Because historically, I feel like Mecole's best games have come when Tyreek is out. When he can play that Tyreek, we're putting you at the number 3 and just letting you cross the face of a deep safety. Traditionally, that's when he's had his biggest games. So it's he's the only wide receiver handcuff I can think of in the league.
The only other one that I'll throw out there for that title is Van Jefferson, because if Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods go down, I think Van goes in there in their 2 wide receiver sets. But I'm totally with you. I think a lot of people are projecting, and people close to the team in camp, that Mecole was going to play opposite Tyreek. But I think we have always found out that unless, if Tyreek misses, that's when Mecole's at his best. He hasn't learned how to play opposite him yet.
I like the Marvin pick in 9th. I'm kind of whatever on the James Conner pick.
So these are his running back 2, 3, and 4, I believe, after the CMC start.
Yeah, so he was a little bit desperate.
Correct.
And he was just getting whatever he could.
Which, I mean, look, I don't think Kenyon Drake was a good football player last year for the Cardinals, but he got so much opportunity inside the 5-yard line that it worked out. And so maybe James Conner can be that this year. Kenyon Drake, they paid a boatload of money to. And so we're going to find out what his role is about to be. And then Sony Michel, that ADP is in flux right now. So look, if you have to go a little crazy and get 3 running backs at 10, 11, 12, these are possible ones. I think that could hit on some value. I think that's fine. And if you drafted Christian McCaffrey, you have baked in, of a buffer at the running back spot already.
Yeah, because unless worst case scenario happens and he gets hurt like last year. But, I mean, you can't possibly predict that or account for it. So this explains the Evan Ingram and Cole Kmet thing, too, because I think, again, he was waiting on tight end, so he just had to get what he could. And then Derek Carr and Darnold after taking Dak.
Yeah, I don't agree with 3 quarterbacks once you draft one in the quote-unquote top 5 or top 6. I think in that case, you only need to take 2.
I think he mentioned in the chat, he auto-picked Darnold. Okay. Oh, that sucks. Okay, that explains a lot. He didn't mean to do that. Yeah, well, I feel your pain, dude. I got Juju on my team, so...
Yeah, I think the pivot would have been to just get another running back instead of Darnold. Another shot at it.
I think he just ran out of time on the clock because it's 30-second picks. The 30-second picks will throw people off sometimes.
I think
Unless you're ready.
there was another super chat for Autumn who picked right next to you at the 106. She said it was her first draft. Can we look at that one too?
Here. Yeah, Autumn's Reign here. So Chubb and Swift back to back. I love that. In fact, I think that's what I did the first time we did this. I think I did a Chubb and Swift back to back. And then AJ Brown, again, it just depends on the knee. It absolutely depends on the knee, but he's a great player. Hawkinson in the fourth, because I think, there were several tight ends that went. And Hawkinson, again, in that Lions offense, I think it's going to be like third and Hawkinson. Like that's going to be their dude over the middle. So I think he's going to be a high volume target. Maybe the only person that could out target him is Amon-Ra St. Brown, but that's a maybe. Like Hawkinson's going to get a lot of targets. And then Kyler, we both love. Tyler Boyd, high volume. Also had a good connection with Joe Burrow. Debo, you're going to get points as a runner and as a receiver in a very, very good offense. Love that pick as well. AJ Dillon. Let's see. What were the other running backs? Let's see. I might have gone receiver or quarterback. Actually, no, they already had Kyler. I might have gone receiver there instead.
You needed to.
But you also have to think, like, worst case scenario, if Aaron Jones get hurt, you have a guy who could be like a top 10 running back immediately. So there's still upside there. Stafford as a QB2 that early when you already have Kyler, again, I might have gone something else first. But if I don't actually know what other people like were on the board at the time, so maybe that was just like I got nothing. Let's just take a solid QB2 in case Kyler shits the bed or gets hurt again, because Kyler's injury concerns are a thing. Curtis Samuel that late when it sounds like he's going to be fine from the groin. So I'm okay with that. The Bryan Edwards pick in round 11, that's the one that I adore. Like this is that pick's going to pay dividends for sure. Beasley, we'll see if he's on the field. I'll just say that. And then, the Lions stack with Amon-Ra and Hawkinson is fascinating to me because, again, like I said, those two are probably going to be the top two target getters in that Lions offense. So I'm big on that as well. Hunter Henry, that late, love it. Man, Latavius, I don't know if I would have done that there since he might not even be on the team. I might have done. Was Tony Jones already off the board by then? I don't think he was. Oh, he just went before that. I probably would have gone somebody other than Latavius just because, again, he might not be there. DPJ, great pick that late. Gainwell, I like that as well as a handcuff for Sanders. And then taking a flyer on Mims, just gambling on the talent and seeing what happens with that Jets offense. I mean, it's an 18th round pick. You know, you're not losing anything. So overall, I like the draft. There's a couple picks that I would have done differently, but it's still very competitive.
I think the one thing that I will say is, once again, always think about the roster spots that you have to fill in your starting lineup. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a flex. So if you scroll back up to the top of the board, it was your 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds. Then you really didn't fill. I mean, you did fill the 3 wide receivers and AJ Brown and Tyler Boyd, and there was one more. Could you scroll slightly? Yeah, and Deebo Samuel. Now, after you get there, you haven't filled out your flex really in your starting lineup each and every week, because AJ Dillon, that's more of, I know he's going to get some touches. There's going to be some individual value there, but how it's really going to be a great pick is if something happens to Aaron Jones for a stretch of time. And then before you even fill your flex once again in the starting lineup, Matthew Stafford is a selection. Now, I think you had some really solid values a little bit later in Curtis Samuel and in Cole Beasley and in Bryan Edwards. So I think you saved yourself with that. But I would say just more often when you're doing these roster constructions, think of that flex before you think of your quarterback too.
Yeah, the Bryan Edwards pick for sure is like a lifesaver there. That's going to pay off huge. So overall, good draft. I don't know if there was anybody else in the chat that wanted me to go over theirs or not that was in this league, but let me check. I was thinking about Corey Davis already, and when you said his name, I went, "Oh crap!" Sucks about the timeout. Give me a cheap stack with Eliza and Zach. Oh, man. Wait, so he's got a Corey Davis. Hold on. I need to look at this. Stand by.
It's the
Okay,
pick right after
so-
you. Yep.
Dude, oh my God. He's got Corey Davis, Elijah Moore,
And
Zach Wilson stack. That's pretty crazy. I mean, you're going all in on the Jets offense, which is that takes balls. Not gonna lie, that takes balls. But if it pays off for you, well done. Absolutely, and I like the McKissick pick as well, because he's going to get a lot of third down work. He's in the 12th round, low key running back value. So good draft overall, everybody. I liked it. Let me see here. Where was I? Let me stop sharing here. So Josh, answer me this. What is the weirdest fantasy trend? And it can be best ball, it can be anything. Weirdest fantasy trend that you've seen that scares the hell out of you? Like, what's something that if you had to tell the people before we get out of here, do not do this. For the love of God, do not do this. What is the thing that scares you the most that you've seen this year? Oh no, did we lose Josh's audio? Or did I just lose Josh's audio?
That's on me.
Oh, there we go.
That's on me. I was muted. What I think people are scared of is, one, believing that you can predict injuries in the future. To me, that makes you like the donkey of the table when you think you can do that. And then also being scared to like dip your toe into the unknown. And so what we have seen, Brett, because of last year, we had preseason games ripped away from us, that there's a lot of reaction now, and some might call it overreaction at times. But I think for the players that haven't been on the field yet, there's some awesome ADP values. Will Fuller is an example at wide receiver 42 when he was going as wide receiver 33, 2 months ago. Curtis Samuel is another one that we talked about. So I wouldn't be shocked if those players who you're drafting as like your wide receiver 5s in situations turn out to be wide receiver 3s this year. I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that
It does.
People just get a little too nervous to dip their toe into the unknown. And I think at times this year, when we actually have football on the field and reacting to the football on the field, maybe the real values are the players we haven't seen yet, because there's no ability to react to them in their new situations.
Because I think people develop emotional attachments based on what they can see. And I think the whole out of sight, out of mind thing is absolutely a thing in fantasy. We did get a couple questions in chat from people that were in this draft. Marty wanted us to go over his team, which is Jay Killenham here. He picked third, Kamara at 3, then came back and got Waller, which was the second tight end taken. Terry, Carson, Josh Allen, Galladay in the 6th. Oh, he got. Yeah, that one might come back to bite you because his hamstring is still not good.
And let me kind of go back on what I just said and how I don't think it qualifies for Kenny Galladay. I know I just mentioned Curtis Samuel and Will Fuller, but those situations, I think as soon as Will Fuller steps onto an NFL field with the Dolphins, he is, other than Jalen Waddle, the best skill position player on that offense, period. And then Curtis Samuel has a history with Scott Turner being used on the outside 70% of the time. And if Kyle Allen wasn't his quarterback during that year in 2019, he would have had 10 plus touchdowns. So I think that's in play. Kenny Galladay, on the other hand, is going to an offense with a worse offensive line, with Daniel Jones, who had 14 touchdowns last season, and Jason Garrett as the play caller. And so like that environment is also one that I don't want to believe in. Fair?
100% agreed. 100% agreed. Unfortunately, he took Michael Thomas in the 8th round too. So I'm like, oh man, all the hurt guys. Yeah, this is I love how it started out, but man, the injuries might crush you here in the middle. I do like the Damian Harris pick in the 7th. That's solid value for him. Marquis Brown, another guy who, even when he's healthy, usually it's not for long. I like the Russell Gage pick in Atlanta. Very underrated receiver. Higbee, I like that. Although you already had Waller, so maybe you didn't need a tight end that early. But again, still a very solid player. Tua Tagovailoa, was that your first quarterback? No, it's your second quarterback. When you already have Josh Allen, I think you can wait a little bit on QB2 because Josh is most likely going to outscore pretty much anybody else that you would draft. Again, it's not an indictment on Tua. It's just how fantasy works. Naheem is like perfect for best ball because there's going to be weeks where he does absolutely nothing and then weeks where he absolutely explodes. So I like that in the 13th round. AJ is very touchdown dependent, but you can get away with that in best ball because a guy that gets 2 catches and one of them is in the end zone can still win you a week. So I'll accept that. TY, I'm iffy on the TY pick because I feel like he might be 4th on the pecking order at this point with Colts receivers. So that one I would caution against a little bit. And if you're going to invest in any Colts receivers, I'm thinking it's either Michael Pittman or Paris Campbell would be the 2 that I think you'd want to go after. David Johnson, I can't remember if Philip Lindsay was taken already at this point, but if you're going to draft any Houston running backs, you're going to want to draft Philip Lindsay instead of David Johnson. Deshaun Jackson, low key like that in the 17th round. Very high upside. Again, health is a risk, but in the 17th round, whatever, you're taking just flyers on guys. And then taking a 3rd tight end, again, when you already have an elite guy like Waller and another one that is very solid in Higbee, probably didn't need him. So I think the big thing, Marty, is adjusting to the differences in best ball in terms of what's prioritized in best ball, which is lots of receivers. And then if you're taking an elite tight end or a quarterback, a position where you're only playing one of them, don't draft your second one until way, way late. And if you are, so with quarterback and tight end specifically, there's 2 methodologies here. Either you take elite and then you take garbage, or you just take 2 guys in the middle and, again, best ball, whoever scores the most, you don't have to guess between them. You're just going to get the points. So I would say when you were taking elite players, I think you got their backups a little bit early, which is a lesson to be learned. But I really love the top of the draft for sure. And then just kind of filling out the middle, I think is where we can improve.
I think those 3 picks to start are absolutely awesome. And Alvin Kamara, Darren Waller, and Terry McLaurin. Yeah, I think you gave some good advice on just the structure. And look, your next draft, your 3rd draft, your 4th draft, it all comes much more naturally. I'm sure, Brett, you've found that same way. Like, it's just different drafting in 18 rounds and in best ball and underdog. And so that's where you got to do a few of them.
Oh, he didn't realize it was best ball.
That would help.
Oh, no. That explains a lot. That explains a lot.
Appreciate your honesty, though. Appreciate your honesty.
Underdog is a best ball platform, which I happen to really enjoy best ball because it prioritizes kind of, off-season preparation, and then you don't get punished for, a guy going down in the second quarter and then it costs you your week. Now,
can you bring up Joshua's comment, by the way? I know I'm not trying to control your stream. It's the most recent one.
Go for it.
All right. Joshua, here it is. Brett, back me up on this. I understand that college is so much more responsibility than high school. I mean, you also have to keep in mind, though, that when you are my age, at now 33 years old, you look back and realize that those 4 years of college are far less work and responsibility than you do now. So embrace it in the moment.
Idea.
Embrace it in the moment. Enjoy it. Get your work done. Have a lot of fun. Do everything and accomplish everything. Try stuff out. But every single day, every single weekend, every single month, absorb college. And don't have a negative attitude towards it.
My best advice. So I ended my freshman year with a 1.7. I did not start college the right way. I was very overwhelmed. I shut down. Everybody kind of has that shock when they first go away to college. Some people handle it better than others. I did not handle it well. And luckily, I had a girlfriend who is now my wife that was able to kind of get me back on track. And eventually, I graduated with like a 3.0. So I did okay towards the end. But my best advice for college is, I know it seems daunting, but you will survive and you will do a lot harder things in your life, as Josh says. And you're going to look back and realize that college wasn't so bad after all. And also, by the way, regardless of what your major is, do internships. Internships will get you jobs more than the degree will. Trust me. The degree is necessary, but the internships will get you the job.
And more than the GPA will. Let's put it that way too.
Yes.
And one final thing, like, I don't know if, and I'm just assuming maybe because you watch Brett's content or whatever you want to do. If you want to create content or I don't know, do projects in different fields, I would say use especially like the final 3 semesters in college to like start trying that out and experimenting with it, and fail while you're in college. Because I don't know about you, Brett, but when like it was so much better for me to like start doing radio, start doing television, start doing on camera stuff in college, because I was awful, and I was still awful when I first got to NBC. But at least like the first 5 times I did it, the first 10 times that I did it were in college. And to me, when I look back on what is most useful now, it was all the things I did outside of the classroom with like that small group of friends that wanted to like do the exact same thing I wanted to do. And then that's where you picked up the skills that then set you apart when you do land the job that I know you're going to find, Josh.
I just got my taste of the corporate world this summer, and I'm not ready to finish college. Yeah, dude, trust me. It's a beast. The corporate world is, what's the word for it? Needlessly daunting. And I mean, I could say that about big time media as well. I mean, you were at NBC, I was at NFL Network. When I first met you, I think we were both in like our mid-20s, and we were both at major national media powers, and like
conglomerates.
It's tough. It's fast. It's very fast paced. Like I remember being in the control room for Red Zone, and like you're there 7 hours, no commercial break, and you are just go, go, go. And it's the fastest paced thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
And it's fun, but you don't realize how fun it was until you get home and you decompress and you're like, God, that was hard, but I can't wait to do it again. Yeah. There's a similar thing in the corporate world, and I can speak to that, unfortunately. But I do agree that when you first get into it, you're like, holy shit, this is insane. Great advice was not limited to fantasy this year. I mean, we've just been through it. And I know my audience, I have a lot of people that are in college or about to get out of college, and things are scary. And you just had to deal with COVID for the last 2 years.
I could not imagine that, Brett. Like, think of your freshman year, your senior year of high school you're stuck at home. I mean, that changes your whole experience.
I don't know how they do it. And I mean, there's a lot of people that didn't even get to walk at graduation. Like my brother-in-law did not get to walk at his own graduation.
Yeah.
For college. And I know many people that didn't get to, people that missed out, like people that didn't get to get a senior prom, like it sucks. Like I could not imagine being that, Gen Z group right now that has to deal with all this shit. Like it's terrible. Josh, how can I volunteer to help Underdog?
Oh, now we're giving people jobs here, Brett, apparently.
Is there anyone you can put me in touch with?
First of all, Underdog, tremendous company. I think you'd say the same thing, Brett. Love working here.
It's I'm not even kidding. It's my favorite sponsor I've ever worked with.
It's the best.
Like everybody that works there is incredible.
Yeah. In terms of, all right, I'll give you a hint. Do not share this. Okay. Just start having conversations online with Nick Rudman at the Nick Rudman or at the Rudman Nick, something like that. Anyways, find him. He's basically our head of customer experience outwardly on Twitter. Great people.
And just pretend that you're a Miami sports fan.
And Patriots.
It'll go a long way. And Patriots. It'll go a long way. But Nick's great. The whole company is great. I mean, I'm not even like bullshitting right now. It's like favorite sponsor I've ever worked with in my life. They're so well run. I'm one of the people who had their graduation cancel. I found work for a company for over a year now. I met 0 people physically.
Could not imagine it.
I don't know how you do it, dude. I don't know how you do it. Draft as if you're right. Now, somebody did ask if I was going to do another draft. I think we can. I think we could do. I think we can try to fill another 12-teamer. We'll see if we can make that happen. Let me see here. I don't share screen again. I'll pull it up in just a second. If you guys are willing to do another one, I'm absolutely willing to draft against you again. Because I think kickoff isn't for like an hour and a half, so I think we got time.
Yeah.
If you're willing to stick around, Josh, I know you're in the middle of a
I'm here for you.
lightning storm, but
I moved about a week and a half ago, Brett, and it's been. I'm sure you've done this during your lifetime too. Obviously, your background. It is
that link in chat, by the way. Just click on that and you can get into the draft with us.
Moving is a nightmare.
Oh God, yeah. And what kind of distance were you moving?
States. I moved from Connecticut to Brooklyn.
Oh my God, I cannot imagine how annoying that would be.
The place I lived before, I lived there for 6 years. And so it was just like 6 years of stuff that I pushed into the back of closets, and it was a fiasco. But we're getting there. Great timing by me too, like right in the middle of preseason. Great timing, Josh.
Oh my God. I've my last 3 moves have been in the last week of August. And I've regretted every single one. And I always tell myself, next time, no. I'm going to plan it out better. I play myself every single. Wow, this draft is filling fucking quick. Okay, I did not expect that. I mean, I half expected it, but like not this quick. It's filling even faster than the first one.
Do you have a favorite spot in round 1?
In a 12-team league, like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Because then I just let it come to me. But
yeah,
I don't always get it.
I'm either the 101, obviously, or 10, 11, 12 in that area. Because you can start that running back wide receiver if you wanted to.
You just want Christian.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just feel like I have a cheat code every time I do it when I build teams. Especially now, again, with CEH going at like around that area.
You said you're in Brooklyn now?
I am.
So, are you able to sneak down to a Panthers game this year or not?
Probably not. Probably not. No, especially with Sundays working and stuff. Oh, look at you. Look at us, the 110.
Look at us. Who knew? So you're going to Vegas week 1, you said? Yeah, I'm going to be there basically that whole weekend, like from like the Thursday through the Ravens game. Because I'm working at, I guess I can announce it now because I had meetings this morning. I'm working with Caesars in week 1. I know we're big time now, boys. So I'm working with Caesars, and I'm kind of working on a project in that week 1 at the Raiders game of like how to do a weekend in Vegas for a Raiders game. Because I just think it would be fun to do that kind of thing of like, what's the best way to get to the stadium? Like, what's best restaurants to go to? Like, if you're into cigars, like what kind of cigar club? If you're into whiskey, like me, what kind of whiskey bars do you want to hit? So I'm kind of working on that kind of project with them, and it's going to be super fun. And I'm going like directly from the Grand Canyon to Vegas. So it's going to be a very long week for me. And then I get home for like 2 days, and I'm going up to Seattle for Titans at Seahawks. So September's going to be busy for me.
That sounds awesome.
Okay, let's see. We're almost. So we
Are you the type?
Christian.
Are you the type to plan out the whole season in advance, or can you take it like month by month, just in general?
I'm basically planned through week 2, and then COVID kind of threw a wrench into that whole week 3 through 5 road trip I was going to do because I just could not get credentials anywhere, and it's not the team's fault. Like they're just limited in terms of the kind of credentials they can give out now.
Yeah.
So I could not get in to any training camps, even the ones that are 15 minutes away from me. So that made me have to adjust. And that's how I ended up doing Vegas in week 1.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
I can't do Saquon. I just can't do it. Maybe you can.
I don't feel good about it. I feel good about Chubb, though.
Yeah.
So there's my anchor running back. I don't know. Is it me or has there been conflicting reports about Saquon for like 3 weeks straight?
They're just being super cagey about it and not like giving any truths at all. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 10 touches the first 2 or 3 weeks, and that's it.
Like total or per game?
Per game.
Yeah.
And then Devontae Booker gets the rest.
Because they're just easing him in.
Yeah.
Or it's possible he comes out and gets 20 touches from week 1 and we just got. But I can't, in good conscience, invest in that. You know?
Diggs.
Oh, God, Diggs. Fuck. Yeah, hell of a start for me. That's why I love that pick.
Yeah.
That's why I love that pick. Starting off with Chubb and Diggs. Let's go. See, Barkley going into 2-4. That's about where I can start to stomach it.
Totally.
But any earlier than that, and I'm kind of on it. Let's see. COVID senior year was it? Oh, you poor guy. Or poor Autumn, I should say. Another note. Do you have any plans for Jesse Bates vids? Please not another Jamal Adams situation. I love Jesse Bates. I think he's one of the best safeties in the league. I think the last time I kind of touched on him on the channel was like the mock draft the year he was coming out. I put him as a first-round pick. Great range, hell of a tackler in the open field, one of the better free safeties in the NFL. And I would love to do a video on Jesse Bates. The question is, what's the rest of the defense around him going to look like? Because I would love to do a video on the Bengals defense as a whole, but I have a lot of questions about their front seven. Dobbins all the way at 211.
What was she referring to with not another Jamal Adams situation?
Where I made a video on Jamal Adams like before the season, like when he was traded, and then the Seahawks defense fucking tanked.
Oh,
the first 8 weeks.
You're the kiss of death.
I made a video and I was like, this is going to be great. I love Jamal Adams and his fit here. And then the Seahawks were fucking awful. And they turned it around. They were a great defense in the back half, but good Lord, it took a while.
That's funny.
Yeah. Autumn's a loyal fan. Thank you very much. She clearly is familiar with the Coleman curse. I'll just say that.
That's so funny.
Waller at 212. That sounds about right to me. The question is, where would you take Kittle relative to Waller?
Right there, basically.
Like right after him? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I had a tough time separating them in my tiers because they're so similar to me.
Totally. The thing, I just love San Francisco's offense so much, but they have so many quality pieces. I think the key for George Kittle to, again, have that massive ceiling outcome is he doesn't have a season of over 5 touchdown catches ever, which is wild to think about for how good he is. And I seriously believe Trey's going to unlock elements of that red zone that, the other types of quarterbacks that they've had there is not. So maybe that opens up for him too.
Will underdogs do super flex? Well, I can't say for sure, and I don't work for Underdog, and Josh does, but I can put in a request right now and say, please do that, because I would love that.
I'll say this. We loved experimenting with different variations this year. I don't know if you ever, or anyone in your audience ever checked out rookies and sophomores, but it was really cool. It was just first and second year players, and that's it that you drafted. We obviously had the big dog, which is 20 rounds. There are a lot of conversations that happen. Let's put it that way. A lot of conversations.
Was the big dog, was that for Nick Ercolano?
So it's still going on. It's $250 to enter. I'm going to do one in a couple weeks on our channel, on the Underdog Fantasy channel, with Jack Settleman and Pete Overzet, which would be a lot of fun.
Let's see, where do I have Godwin relative to? Yeah, okay. I'm going to go Woods. Woods, old reliable. I've never been disappointed in Robert Woods in my entire life. One of my favorite football players in the league, by the way. Like, I know I had Chris Godwin ranked slightly ahead of him in my draft rankings, but I don't know. I just love Robert Woods. Oh, Jared, for $10. I know you like bets, so I have one for you. I'll bet you $100 that by the start of the 2022 training camp, Danny Dimes will be cut or traded from the Giants. See, I don't know if I could take that bet because I kind of agree.
You're on the clock, by the way.
Oh, shit. You know what? I get Godwin anyway. Okay. Easy money. Easy money. Ayuk was gone, so whatever. I'll take Godwin. That's the second draft in a row that I've got snaked from Ayuk, by the way.
I'm with you on Daniel Jones, though. I think this is the make or break year.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it doesn't turn into another situation where people just make excuses of like, well, Galladay was hurt and Tony was a rookie and the offensive line was bad. And it's like, you know how many quarterbacks play with bad situations and
Right.
still look good?
And not that he just has complete blinders on when there's disruption around him. Like
Justin Herbert had arguably the worst pass protecting offensive line in the league last year and broke every single rookie record. Like at some point, the excuses just become too much. And it's like for a third year quarterback, like eventually you got to elevate a bad supporting cast, regardless of what the reason for that bad supporting cast is, whether it's just poor drafting, whether it's injuries. Like we have to see him elevate the team and stop turning the ball over. And Durant. Mitch, not fantasy related, but any recs for learning the game as a beginner. I subscribe to Nate Tice's Substack, but some of it is over my head. Inside the Pylon has a like glossary of I guess you call it like football terms. It's almost like a football dictionary type thing. And just go on the Inside the Pylon glossary and just click on all these different little articles on terms and everything like that and just absorb it. You know, they'll explain passing concepts, they'll explain personnel groupings, like all that kind of stuff. And it's an invaluable resource for I think people that are trying to learn the game. Highly recommend pretty much anything that Inside the Pylon does. They're great.
I'd say go search for coaching clinics on YouTube as well. I know some of them get taken off YouTube, but there's some older ones that are on there as well. Go in person if you want to and just take a copious amounts of notes. That's what I did for a while. If you mean that from like an X's and O's standpoint, but if you mean it from like just a watching football standpoint or evaluating football standpoint, I would also say just watch a bunch of football and see what wins, you know, like what succeeds. And then focus on those traits. They can be different for each style of player. But like when you watch the 5 best or 10 best players at each position, I mean, some are quite different. You know, like a wide receiver is not a wide receiver, is not a wide receiver. But there are certain things that you pick up on, like, oh, this guy just moves differently. He has this athletic profile. It fits this way, so on and so forth. So just like figure out what wins and if that translates to the NFL.
And I think it can be sometimes hard when it's like you're watching Aaron Donald and then you're watching a college player and you're like, oh, this kid sucks. And it's like, no, Aaron Donald's just that good. But I think it's not necessarily you're looking for an athlete like Aaron Donald because there's very few of those. But if you see them using their hands the same way as Aaron Donald, you know, linking their feet to their hands in terms of how they set up moves, like if you can see that they actually put in the work to, you know, mimic what he does. Like we saw that with Milton Williams when he was coming out last year. Like he didn't do it all the time, but you saw every now and then he did some very similar stuff stylistically to what Aaron Donald does all the time. And you know, it was like an old scouting phrase where it's like, well, I've seen him doing once, so I know he can do it again. And Milton Williams, he got drafted by the Eagles where he did because they saw him do it once, and so they knew he could do it again.
Love Milton. Love him so much.
He's so good. He's so good. Let's see who's there running back. Do I want to do the Darrell Henderson trap again?
Why not take Jamar Chase? We just talked about him.
You're not wrong. There's not really any. Yeah.
I'd say he has the high. I mean, I love Robbie, but I think Chase has the highest ceiling of this group right now.
Yeah. Again, I'm kind of using my rankings off of my other monitor as a reference here, but best ball is just so different that I'm just attacking different things than my normal PPR rankings.
What is the tight end situation right now? What's the tight end group like? Okay.
It's still pretty thick on it. I mean, Andrews went like in the 4th round or something last time, and he's still here this time. Still got Hawkinson, Thomas, Higbee. Yeah, it's pretty deep actually. But I don't think that any of them are going to be around by the time I do my next pick. That's the problem. I'm going to go Andrews because I feel like he's going to be like the de facto number 1 while Bateman's out anyway.
I like that.
Plus, I just love Mark
Man,
Andrews.
I
So.
hate that Bateman got hurt.
I love Bateman.
I love him.
I got sick to my stomach when I saw that he tweaked it again. I was like, oh my God. Because he was going to be such a big factor for Baltimore this year. I mean, he'll be back eventually, but, not week 1. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't really see him at full speed till like Halloween, maybe.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for the Ravens because, how long have they been trying to find that number 1 receiver since, I don't know, I guess Smitty?
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a long, long time. And before Smitty, the last great receiver they had, Bolden, a decade ago. So it's like you got 2 great receivers in 10 years. Like,
have you ever
Torrey Smith
interviewed
had a couple of years?
Anquan Bolden?
Bolden? No, I've heard he's a great dude though.
Oh, he's great. I interviewed him at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And you know how the Super Bowl is with them being passed around every 15 minutes and getting interviews. And so like they hate being asked the same questions over and over. So he kind of showed up a bit cold. But like once you ask a good question, he starts smirking and stuff. Because his rookie year production, even when he played, was absolutely insane. I want to look it up here because if he played now, dude, I mean,
one of the best receiver seasons, or at least one of the best rookie seasons of all time ever.
His name would be in the history. I mean, he had 165 targets his rookie season for over 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns. That was all the way back in 2003. Think about what that would be now.
And that was the year after they drafted Larry, right?
Yeah.
That was with Larry Fitzgerald on the field, and he got 165 targets.
Insanity.
That's nuts. That's never going to happen again. Well, maybe it will because there's 17-game season, but still. Oh, man, Laviska's gone. Shit. I feel like I'm destined to never get Viska, like at all. I'm so annoyed. I'm so high on him this year, dude. I think the role that Travis Etienne was going to play as their H-back, basically their guy that's getting carries to the edges, I think Laviska is going to do that now. Because I think he's probably the best one on the team to do that. I really do. So not only is he going to be a slot receiver, but he's going to could be 4 carries a game. That's valuable. Fuller went here. That's good. Galladay and Sutton. What's your take on the Sutton injury thing?
Oh, that I want Jerry Jeudy and I like KJ Hamler late. I just can't really do it with Cortland Sutton right now. It's almost one of those, if I miss out, I'll miss out because I loved him prior to the injury because he was like on pace to be like a true number 1, I thought, with that profile. But now I need just to see it. I have to see it to believe it before. Am I off base from what you think?
I mean, knee injuries are knee injuries, and people come back from them differently.
And it sounded like he didn't trust it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is a lot of guys don't. Sometimes it takes them an extra 6 after they get cleared. Sometimes it takes them an extra 6 months to really be able to, do that 3-step plant,
right?
Like on like a comeback route. Like sometimes they'll add a couple extra steps because they don't trust it. And if you add 2 steps on a comeback in the NFL, you're not going to get targeted. So it's not necessarily a re-injury risk, but like it just takes them a while to really be able to hammer that. Fuck, Devonta Smith went. God.
Devonta Smith right now in drafts is so undervalued. He's going as wide receiver, I think, 36. And it should be like 8 spots earlier, I think. Absolutely 8 spots earlier.
All right, gun to your head. Corey Davis, Darnell Mooney.
Corey Davis. I love Mooney, though. I take Damien Harris, though.
Yeah.
I mean, my pitch for Damien Harris. I can't stop talking about him this summer.
I love Damien. If I already had 2 running backs, I would have gone probably Corey Davis there, but
I think you got a cheaper version of Nick Chubb and Damien Harris. I really think they're going to try to imitate in some ways like the Browns formula from last season of a top 5 offensive line, a lot of 12 personnel, play action. And Damien Harris, while I understand he's not going to have all of the passing game work, you're getting also a guy, and if Cam Newton isn't the starter, he had 73% of their carries inside the 5-yard line. And the last time that Tom Brady wasn't a 16-game starter other than 2020. Freaking like Garrett Blunt had like 1,300 yards and 18 touchdowns. It was insane. And I bet they revert back to something like that with Damien Harris if he stays healthy.
Marvin or Jarvis? Or Chark. I kind of like Jarvis there. Yeah, I like Jarvis. Again, old reliable. So I've got my high floor volume guys where if everything completely goes wrong for the week, I've got Woods and Jarvis. But on the weeks that go right, Diggs, Godwin, Jamar Chase, any of those guys could put up 25 points very easily.
This construction is really good so far. Really good.
I'll probably need I'll need another 3 or 4 receivers down the line, but I got some dudes that I'm looking at.
Oh yeah.
Let's see a running back. God, I don't know. I feel like I'm just not going to draft any Tampa running backs this year.
I think you got the last one of that grouping, like of that cluster, and then this is a different one too, because a lot of these guys are ambiguous split backfields that we don't know the defined role, or again, they're running back insurance mostly. And there's still some
quarterbacks not bad.
Yep.
There's some guys there. Matt Ryan at 144 ADP is a little bit surprising to me.
I really like where his spot is right now in terms of drafting him, because what Arthur Smith did with like his magic inside the 20-yard line being like the first and second and red zone touchdown rate with the Titans. And meanwhile, last year, the Falcons were 26th in that area. That's going to be a huge benefit for Mike Davis and Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley and Matt Ryan, obviously.
What's interesting is just, okay, so people are drafting Calvin Ridley super high.
Yep.
They're drafting Kyle Pitts super high. They're drafting Mike Davis in the 6th round. Somebody's throwing him the ball.
I'm right there with you.
Come on.
And somehow Matt Ryan's going as quarterback 18.
18?
18. Quarterback 18 right now on Underdog.
I have him as like QB 8.
Yeah, he's going as quarterback 18.
What? Wow. Okay. Either I'm way off or I don't know. That's like genuinely shocking to me.
Tua's going one spot ahead of him. Yep.
Come on.
I'm just saying what the public is doing, not me.
Come on.
I'm with you.
I expect better from you, chat. Don't disappoint me like that.
I guarantee now that doesn't happen that way in this draft. Guarantee it.
Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones in the 8th round. What do you think about that?
I can't do it, man.
In best ball, I'm skeptical.
I can't do it.
Because I don't know. I feel like both of them limit each other's upside. And like Gio's going to get all the passing down work anyway. Like the cannibalization in that backfield is going to be unbelievable.
I can't do it with any of them except for Gio, where he's going.
I love the Pittman pick, though.
Same.
There goes Lance. Damn. Oh, Maximus, you ass. He knew I wanted Bryan Edwards.
I feel like back-to-back drafts, he's just a thorn in your side.
He's a thorn in my side. He's just killing me constantly. That's the one thing. When you're drafting at the 10 spot, you go a long time between picks, and you get snaked constantly. Rondale at 9.3, I like that.
He keeps climbing because we've seen him, you know?
Yeah.
And Terrace Marshall's the other one, too. I mean, Terrace Marshall was going as like wide receiver 72. And I think Terrace Marshall now, let me pull it up over here, is going as wide receiver 58. So there's been like a 14-point climb at just wide receiver spots for Terrace. And I understand it. I just loved him at 72, and so did you.
Yeah. I didn't think people would listen, though. Pick Jameis, Easy Dubs. Hey man, don't give away my shit. Don't give away my strats. I got guys in the back pocket. All right. Trey Lance went. Tom Brady went. Aaron. How many quarterbacks have gone? 1, 2, 3. Wait. Oh, Mahomes went 3rd overall. Damn, I didn't even realize that.
Me neither.
1, 2. Wait, is he trying to stack? No. Interesting. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're man, QB 10. You weren't lying. Trey
Did
Lance.
you see this? That Saints Cardinals for tomorrow is canceled. So we don't see Jameis after Hurricane.
Oh shit. Really? I didn't see that.
It just happened now.
Oh man. So they just get
that was
prepare, I
Jameis's
guess.
performance. And that's it.
Well, he did well.
Good for him.
Kind of feeling quarterback here. Do I want Hurts or do I want Ryan? I have Hurts one spot ahead of Ryan, so I'm going to go Jalen Hurts. The mobility is key for me. And I actually like Jalen Hurts as a passer. Like, I'm going to die on that hill. I know that a lot of people are not super big on Jalen, but I think he's like a legitimately good passer, and I think people are going to find that out this year. And now that he has Devonta Smith, who's an actual wide receiver one, Rager, I think, is going to end up being a good slot for them. But
if that,
but he's
turns
got
like
tight ends. Rager?
Yeah, he turns like a boat.
Yeah, but if you're run 4-3 in one direction, you don't need to turn, right?
Right.
Do I want another receiver? Do I want a running back? Kind of like Marquis Callaway.
I like this a lot. I love that. I mean, that ADP isn't really an ADP because it's so in flux right now. Like, it's unsettled.
Yeah. I just think if I'm getting a wide receiver one on a team for at least the first 2 months of the season,
that's an awesome pick.
And assuming Jameis is starting, which I think he is, or I think you mentioned it's official that he is. I feel good about that. Game wasn't canceled. It was moved up to noon. Okay.
Oh.
Interesting.
Interesting. Catherine Terrell says Saints have canceled tomorrow's preseason game in light of the storm. Maybe they have since changed it since 5 minutes ago.
Do they have the authority to do that, or does the league do that?
Good question. Nope. Now it's totally canceled.
What does Nick Underhill say?
Yeah, it's totally canceled.
Okay.
Underhill's the man.
Dude, he is so plugged in. Anytime you want to know anything Saints related, Underhill's the guy. Oh, there goes Goddard. Why Hurts over Stafford? Truth be told, it is mobility. Like, mobility, I think, is the difference maker there. And not to mention, I do think that Hurts is a good passer. Obviously, Stafford is a very, very good passer over the last 15 years or whatever, however long he's been playing. But Jalen Hurts is accurate, super tough in the pocket. I think his ability to scramble and make something out of nothing exceeds what Stafford can do when plays break down. And not to mention, he's going to get involved in the design run game as well. So whatever advantage Stafford holds over him in terms of supporting structure around him or pure passing ability, whatever you want to say, I do feel like that dynamic rushing element makes up that ground in favor of Hurts.
Yeah. It's huge in fantasy. It's the Konami code. Like, rushing at the quarterback position gives you such a floor. And I actually think people perceive the Eagles this year to be like bottom 5 in pass attempts. And I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I bet they're like around league average. And it's Jalen Hurts is the last really mobile quarterback that you're able to draft other than the rookies. But he's even going after, Trey Lance. So
also, like, keep in mind, I am throwing my fantasy rankings out the window for this. Like, because Stafford is ranked ahead of Hurts on my actual fantasy rankings. I want upside for best ball. So I'm drafting differently than I normally would. And Hurts's upside is the difference maker in this format for me. Like, I don't do any best ball drafts without swinging for the fences, because you're not going to win unless you do that.
Because you draft as if you're right.
Hence, KJ Hamler going in the 11th round. God, Sony Michel going in the 11th now. That had to be a lot different than 3 days ago, right?
Oh, let me try to find it for you.
I'm genuinely curious, like, how big of a pop he just got.
He was running back 71 before.
Oh, God, that's such a big jump.
Huge jump.
Oh, man. 2009 was already 15 years. How many?
That's not true.
12? So 12 or 13, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I went to film school. I'm not a math major. I part of the reason why I had a 1.7 as a freshman year is because I had to take college algebra twice.
Did you ever take a
I was
foreign
not.
language, Brett?
Yeah, actually, ever since like preschool, I was in French for 12,
Nice.
13 years. I was actually fluent growing up. And then I took Latin in high school. And then in college, I did it for like a year, and then I just kind of did other stuff because I just didn't have time to. But
Yeah.
I've always loved foreign language classes. That's always been something I've genuinely enjoyed a lot. I was not always a great student, but I was a great film student and a great language student and history.
There you go.
It's all the STEM classes that I sucked at.
Pollard?
That one just jumped out immediately to me for
I mean,
upside.
that could be massive.
Yeah. He's
Massive.
so talented. People don't realize like how good Tony Pollard is because he's been stuck behind Zeke for a couple of years, but
And I think Zeke's going to have a monster season, but if something happens, so can Tony Pollard for sure.
and I wouldn't be surprised if they put him on the field on third downs over Zeke just to get him on the field because they know how dynamic he is. And like it won't just be like Pollard gets this series here and this series there. Like I really do think it's in terms of snap count wise, it's going to be closer to like a 55-45 situation than to like a 70-30 situation. Let's see. How many picks do I have till my next one? Like 20? Oh, fuck. I auto-drafted James Conner. No!
One per draft, Brett.
Oh, no. Oh, I would have taken literally anybody else. Literally anybody else. Oh, my God. That's what I get for distracting myself with questions.
Well, I think you're pretty much done at running back.
You think?
Now, the only positive here with James Conner is you got him about 20 spots after ADP.
Yeah, I guess. Oh my God.
I can't wait for James Conner to win you this league.
Only if like Chase gets hurt.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm staring down the barrel right now. I would have taken Madison. Fuck. If I'm going to do any running back there, or I wouldn't have hated Naheem or Lindsey. So annoyed. But it's okay. We'll bounce back. I have a plan. What do you project for Callaway this season? I guess it depends on when Michael Thomas comes back, but let's just say Michael Thomas is not Michael Thomas until December. Callaway could still get 90 catches. Like, that's a legitimate possibility. Because remember, like, even in a couple games that he played with a healthy Michael Thomas, he was still getting like 5 catches in those games. Like, I would not be shocked if he gets, like, people are saying that, Alvin Kamara is going to get 100 catches. He's going to be like the de facto number one receiver. Like, nah, dude. Callaway, I think, is going to get more catches than Kamara.
Like, Emmanuel Sanders started 5 games technically last season, played in 14. How many targets do you think he got and how many catches? He got 82 targets and 61 catches.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Oh, man, they took Ramondre Stevenson from me. God, that would have been my next guy. Because taking Damian Harris, I know that means Ramondre Stevenson's going to go off because that's just how New England works.
Brett, draft like you're right.
It's New England. Nobody's right. They're going to sign Noah Gray again.
Oh, come on.
Give him 30 touches.
God, there were so many random. All right, I'm going to quiz you on former Patriots running backs. Here we go. Let's see.
Law firm going to come out of retirement.
Yeah. Oh man, they've had some awesome ones. All right, here we go. You know that one. That one's too easy.
Gio in the 13th. I like that. Traquan in the 13th. That's
Do you remember
interesting.
Lawrence Maroney? It's so amazing that we just forget these names.
Lawrence Marone from like 04, 05, around there.
06.
Yeah. He was the guy there for
He
like
was
a solid
awesome.
2 years. Yeah.
He was awesome.
And Bill Belichick was obsessed with him.
And then there was the other. Wasn't there another back, Barber from Minnesota?
Which one?
Marion Barber, the third. You remember? Because he was
He went to
kind
the
of like
Patriots?
no. I'm just saying in general. He was kind of like Marshawn Lynch in some ways, in terms of just being like a battering ram. I'm going to run your face over. God, we forget about running back so easily.
My Marion Barber memory is him running out of bounds and stopping the clock when his team was up and they had a chance to win, and that ended up giving the ball back in the loss. I think it was with the Bears at the time, and they lost. My favorite like random fantasy running back that I always bring up is Sean Green.
Oh yes, with two
it
ends.
It always elicits like a highly emotional response from a select group of people. Do I want? Not digging all the receiving options there. Not digging that.
3 seconds. 2, 1.
Did I get it? Did I get it in time?
You did not. You got Cole Beasley. That's fine.
It's not the worst.
A little
2
tip.
auto drafts in one draft.
A little tip. You can always star the player right next to their name, and that'll make them the next drafted player.
Oh, that's quicker. That's a good idea. Okay. All right. Take two.
That was fine. Cole Beasley is a good pick.
Yeah. I guess. It's not the worst. Not super high on that. I kind of want to do a Callaway stack.
Do it.
Just cause. Like, I know it's a little early, but I want it bad, and I don't think I'm going to get him if I wait.
It won't get back to you. Oh, these are some good names. Do you remember Thomas Rawls? Of course.
Oh, I love Thomas Rawls.
School? Thomas Rawls.
I think it was like a directional Michigan school.
Like
right?
Central Michigan?
Somewhere around there.
Let's look it up. I think it might have been Central Michigan. Or it was I'm thinking of Orange.
Syracuse?
No. Central Michigan. Well done.
Ow, there we go.
Well done.
Pulled that from the back of the dome.
He started at Michigan, then transferred to Central Michigan.
How about that? That was just on pure instinct too. That's how many scouting reports I've written in my life, that I just have that in the back.
Terrence West.
West Virginia? Right? Did I have that right? I think it was what I could have sworn. No, Toledo. Tulane? I think it's like a blue and gold school.
I think I think it's a small school. I'm just gonna look it up for you.
I want to say it's a blue and gold, like a dark blue and gold color scheme.
Oh, I knew it was a tiny school. Towson.
I had the T part right. Who was
you remember Storm Johnson? That name just brought up because
I loved Storm Johnson at UCF so much. I was obsessed. I remember because I was watching Bortles and I was like, who the fuck is that guy? He's great. And then he never did anything in the league.
I remember one
so good.
There was one play he like ran across the field. Like he started on one side, ran all the way to the other, then cut it all the way back to. Yeah, it was him and Bortles. And was Perryman there at the same time too? Or am I making that up?
Yeah, Perriman was there. They had another guy that also went in the NFL. Like that offense was like, it had like 5 or 6 NFL players on it. Like for UCF, that's great.
I remember they beat Baylor when Baylor was really good.
Yeah, they knocked off like a 10-win Baylor team.
And they were like 20-point dogs in that game, I think.
Yeah, that kind of started there was like a 3-year run of UCF being like legitimately awesome. They didn't lose a game for like 2 seasons. Chris Ivory. Oh, I love Chris Ivory so much. He was so fun. I wish he stayed healthy though. Chris Ivory's one of those guys where it's like I just assume he played for the Patriots, but I can't remember if he did.
4
He just
teams.
feels like a Bill Belichick kind of running back.
Saints, Jets, Jags, Bills for Chris Ivory. He and
In my mind, he's a Patriot.
I bet he and Tim Hightower were never seen in the same room.
Dude, oh God, who was with Tim Hightower in Arizona? They had a tandem there that just was nightmarish for fantasy.
Andre Ellington?
Maybe it might have been Ellington. Another throwback, by the way. Ellington.
Oh, I mean, obsessed with Andre Ellington.
There was like a year where people were like having legitimate conversations of like, who's your RB2 this year, Joik Bell or Andre Ellington?
It happens. Guilty.
Oh, fantasy's a fickle bitch.
Guilty.
Fitzpatrick in the 15th. I kind of like that.
Definitely.
Chuba, if you have CMC, I don't hate that. But
also, I think
if
half of our football bubble calls him Chuba, and it drives me crazy every time.
I thought it was. Is it not?
It is Chuba. It is Chuba.
Okay. When I feel slightly less self-conscious.
No, you.
I'm swinging for the fences here because I don't think I've gotten him in any draft, even though I love him and I'm highlighted him in like 4 videos this summer. But I'm taking Frymouth.
Love this.
I think he's going to take Ebron's job like by October. Like he's the man. I love Frymouth.
St. Wolf says, remember Thomas Jones? There was one year. I'm going to pull this up. There was one year for Thomas Jones. That Jamal Charles. Yeah, here it is. In 2010, when Thomas Jones was 32 years old, they gave him 245 carries. He turned that into 896 yards and 6 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Jamal Charles also got 230 carries, put up 600 more yards and 1 fewer touchdown. I mean, you couldn't get more different in like the efficiency, the success of the two backs where they basically got the same exact volume. It's nuts.
That's insane. But also Jamal Charles, one of the best I've ever seen. And if that doesn't illustrate it, I don't know what does.
I think he has the record of the highest yards per carry ever.
I was worried that his last year where he got like barely any touches was going to ruin that for him, but I think he still finished with like 5.
Oh, here's another throwback. Dexter McCluster on this team.
Dexter McCluster. Tony Jones? Do I want Tony Jones? Yeah, I kind of want Tony Jones. I'm just going all in on Saints stack. Because as we've seen, the Saints are not worried about completely splitting workload because they know Kamara's going to get touches through receiving anyway. And I feel like that number 2 Saints running back has always been a valuable piece to have, whether it was Ingram, whether it was Murray. I think it's worth it, especially if he's getting goal line work. Or even just a couple goal line touches a game. I feel like I just got to hammer receivers for the rest of the day now.
Yes.
So the question is...
Do you have both your quarterbacks? Yeah, you got
Jameis. Because I'm doing the Jameis stack, yeah. And I got my high upside tight end.
Yeah, I think closing with 2 running back or 2 wide receivers is the right move.
Question is, which ones? Because there's still plenty available, to be honest. Like, there's no shortage at all. Still an all-time name, Lil Jordan Humphrey.
If you want to go in one more, you can get Juwan Johnson again.
I could. And just do an entire Saints.
Wes Watkins truly might be the slot receiver for the Eagles. He's been running there.
It's going to be hard to keep him off the field. It's going to be really hard to keep him off the field. So if I can stack him with Jalen, it's not a bad idea. Demarcus Robinson, also not a bad idea because I still think he'll get snaps outside more than Mecole will. And then, actually,
I got to quiz you on all these, Brett. From St. Wolf, one of my favorite running backs back in the day was Willie Parker. School?
Willie Parker. VT?
Same conference, a little further south.
A little further south.
Basketball school.
What's further south in the ACC than VT? That's a basketball.
Like
Duke?
everything.
That's true. You're not wrong. I forgot Virginia's like the north end of the ACC.
UNC.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He went to UNC. But I don't remember him at Chapel Hill at all.
I had like a vague memory, but of like a Wikipedia page, but that's about it. Somebody took Quez. Shit.
That's my bad.
Yeah, no. It's stream sniping is absolutely a thing. Trying to look up some news here from a guy that I really like. I just want to make sure his leg hasn't fallen off already.
All right, so Brett, tonight the games are what up? Colts Lions. I don't think we'll see Carson Wentz. Eagles
I doubt
Jets.
it.
Yeah, Eagles Jets. I'm excited to see more of Jalen Hurts because I actually thought in that first preseason game he was throwing against disruption, pressure in his face, all that stuff. The Panthers are going to play their starters for a half tonight. The Steelers are sitting basically every single person. So we're like at that period where teams don't know how to handle this third preseason game yet, you know?
And I wasn't sure how they would because on one hand, teams never played their starters when it used to be the fourth preseason game because it's like, oh, we got a game next week. But there's a bye.
Right.
Like there's 2 weeks until they're so it's like it could go either way.
We have an extra like 4 days than normal than we typically do in this time. Like it's going to be huge for fantasy, I think, Brett, where everyone's just going to be sitting in their hands for an extra 4 or 5 days with all of the information now, you know? And I actually think now all the practices too are shut off to media. So we're not going to get anything anymore. Like training camp is over. So it's all behind closed doors from now on too.
It's going to be hard to bet on week 1 because everybody has so much time to prepare and everybody's approaching the last preseason game so differently. Like when I go to Vegas in week 1, like I'm going to be doing some parlays, but I have zero expectations for actually hitting on them because it's going to be a wild week 1. We're going to see some results that like are going to blow people's minds.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it fun. But Vegas is going to make a shitload of money.
Yeah.
In week
1. We all realize how little we know after week 1. And then we jump to those conclusions and then it changes again in week 2. But
who do I? Is Josh Palmer already gone? I hope not. Damn. Okay. Well. Shit, did he already go? No. Okay. Flyer on Kadarius Toney. Complete
I wanted to
flyer.
I wanted to say it, but I was not going to force that on you. I'm glad you took it. I'm glad you did
complete flyer. That's just a total shot in the dark.
There is no reason not to in the 18th round when it's a long season, first round draft capital, a team that might have to have some manufactured touches. And look, it might not do anything for the first 8, but in your round 18 pick with a guy who's great with the ball in his hands, if he scores 2 or 3 touchdowns this year, that might give you 2 or 3 usable weeks. I think that's a solid pick in round 18.
Which, I mean, with my receivers, I only need 2 or 3 usable weeks.
Yep.
That's it.
Do you like this team more than your last one?
That's a good question. So Chubb, Diggs, Woods, Godwin, Andrews. Yeah, I kind of do actually, to be honest. I feel really good about the Jameis Callaway stack with Juwan and Tony Jones. I mean, if I'm going to have auto draft, I'd rather have James Conner and Cole Beasley as my auto draft mistakes than Juju. I love Pollard. Jarvis is solid. Damian Harris may or may not screw me over, but that's the price I pay for drafting anybody from the Patriots. But this first 5 picks, I love that so much.
Yep.
I think this team's probably got a better shot to win this league than the last one.
Yep.
Now, where was Jay Killenham? I want to see what their second draft looked like.
Another
we gave them
Kelsey
notes on the
Tyreek
first one.
stack. Look at that.
Swift in the third, love it. Evans in the fourth. If he gets touchdowns, absolutely. Lamar in the fifth, totally cool with it. Thielen in the sixth. That's about where I think he should go. Mike Williams in the seventh is aggressive for a lot of people, but not for me. I actually really like Mike Williams. I think in normal fantasy, I have him as like an 8th round value. So 7th round and underdog sounds about right, considering how big of a premium we place on receivers. Mostert in the 8th, again, explosive. We're just looking for 2 or 3 carries to break, and that's all we need. Marquis Brown, still kind of early for me, because I've seen what he looks like without competition in that receiving core, and it was still underwhelming, let alone when Bateman comes back, and then he's just going to be completely phased out, in my opinion. So I don't know if he'll ever live up to a 9th round pick, but I still love Gus Edwards right after that. Jacoby, very good pick in the 11th. Emmanuel Sanders, I'm down for that. I'm curious how many snaps he's going to get between him, Cole Beasley, and Gabe Davis.
I really think they're going to try to keep Gabe Davis as their wide receiver 4. Like, they're probably going to run the second most 10 personnel in the league. But I think by their actions, they view Manny as their number 3 wide receiver.
At minimum, if somebody goes down, he'll be very valuable. At minimum. Lindsey, love him in the 13th round because I think he's going to be like far and away the most used Houston running back. AJ Green in the 14th. Yeah, it's about where you should probably go. Jared Cook, Loki in the 15th. I like that a lot. Eskridge, that is very similar to my Tony pick. You are just swinging for the fences and seeing what you get. Tevin Coleman, that one is actually really sneaky in the 17th round for a guy who might get starting snaps for like the first 5 or 6 weeks of the year. I'm cool with that. Yeah, this draft is a lot better than the last one. Like, this is a legitimately really good team. So, well done. Absolutely well done. So we got 1 pick left. Mac Jones snuck in there in the 18th round.
I low-key love it. I think he's in such a good situation. How dare I bet on Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick with a top 5 offensive line? How dare I do that?
You were pick number 12, Jeremy. Okay, let me see what you got here.
Hey, Jeremy, thanks for playing best ball. Hopefully, everyone, I know so many of you out there are doing your big season-long leagues, your managed leagues that you care most about. The best way to prepare for them, other than downloading Brett's draft guide, is to go and try out best ball leagues. They're so much better than just random mock drafts that you do on ESPN or other places, because there's actually money at stake and people care about every single selection or auto draft pick that they make. So go and try out best ball. Again, use code Brett. As you can see, get 25 free bucks. As soon coming straight out of Hayden's pocket, if you did not know. So,
and that's the thing, because I've done a whole bunch of drafts on Underdog. Nobody has ever left early.
Yep,
not once. Which for me, like when I do it on other platforms, it kind of ruins it, because then you're just drafting against bots, and what's the point of that?
Yep.
But nobody ever leaves early on Underdog drafts. It's a hugely valuable resource for all my other leagues. So if you were the 112, I'm going to look at what you got here. So Jonathan Taylor, Antonio Gibson back-to-back at the turn. Super solid. Totally cool with that, especially since it sounds like Quentin Nelson's going to be okay. And Carson coming back potentially for week 1, I think kind of gives me a little bit more hope for that offense overall. Cooper Kupp and then Brandon Ayuk. That's the key right there. Getting Ayuk in the 4th is clutch. Darrell Henderson, late 5th, I believe that is. Late 5th, and then Herbert at the turn at the 6th. You're getting really good value so far. And then you get Mooney and Davis back-to-back. That's great. Higbee, Terrace in the 10th. Irv Smith. See, I like kind of grouping Higbee and Irv together.
Yeah.
In best ball, because either one of them from week to week could go off.
My main problem so far is Singletary in round 12. Since you spent 3 running back picks on ones that are starters, basically, I do not see the value in that instead of getting like your 6th wide receiver there or your 5th wide receiver there.
I would disagree because Henderson is Henderson, and he might only last like 4 weeks.
Totally.
I
But
think
then you still have your
hedge.
2 running back spots already locked up with the first 2, you know? So I'm nervous about these wide receivers in terms of, like, I like a lot of them as individuals, like you're talking about with Terrace Marshall and Brandon Ayuk, obviously. But I'm sure when you compare it to the other teams in this league, some of those wide receiver rooms like yours is stacked.
Let's see here. Cup, Ayuk, Mooney, Davis, Terrace. Let's just compare that. Compare that top 5 to my top 5. Diggs, Woods, Godwin. Okay, yeah, I can kind of see your point. Callaway is my 6th, but at the same time,
your second running, yeah. This
my
is the
second
debate.
running back is Garbo. It's like, would you rather have Nick Chubb and Damien Harris, versus Jonathan Taylor and Gibson versus these receivers? I guess it just.
All I'm saying is you have to start, no matter what. You have to start one more wide receiver each and every week.
Very true. Which is why people draft like 9 of them.
Correct.
Just to see. And I mean, getting DPJ in the 16th.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome. Shepard and Lazard might have been a little bit early for both of them for me personally. Let's see. Where'd you take Herbert?
And Brett, a lot of people think about stacks as in locking it in with your early round picks. That is one strategy. But the other strategy here that I like that this person did at 12 is get Baker and then follow it up with a late round pass catcher that could work out in DPJ. So like if Odell goes down, if Jarvis Landry goes down, then maybe that's a sneaky combination that gets you points that a lot of other people will not have or no one else in this league will have. So it's like kind of the same thing as Matthew Stafford. If you miss out on Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp earlier on in round 17 or 18, getting a Van Jefferson too, because that can be a stack as well.
And even if DPJ is behind Odell and Jarvis, I still think he's going to be on the field a lot because he's too good not to be. Like, I know they love him. And in 11 personnel, I think he's done enough this preseason to get looks as their 3rd wide receiver. So anytime they're in 11, I think he'll be on the field. And he's very, very talented. He's another one of these guys where it's like, it takes one ball. It could be a 50-yard touchdown for him, and all of a sudden he ends up with like 16, 17 points for over the course of a game. So stacking that with Baker, just on the off chance Herbert has an off day, I really like this team a lot. You know, the big thing is the key debate between when do you take your second running back. But, you know, I mean, even looking around the rest of this league, like running back, quarterback, running back. We got some people that did running back receiver like me. We got double running back here.
Yeah.
Running back tight end wide. Like there's like 6 different approaches here for the first 2 picks. And I feel like these first 2 picks, whatever you do with these, leads to drastically different teams for the rest of the draft. What do you typically do at like a 10 spot or really anywhere between 10 and 12?
Go with hopefully one of those top 3 wide receivers in Devontae and Tyreek and in Diggs or Travis Kelce if he's there, and then follow it up with one of those running backs that we love in CEH, in Najee. Sometimes Eckler sometimes gets there. Joe Mixon sometimes gets there. And so I really like that wide receiver running back start if I'm there at the end of round 1. And then I have my favorites in that running back dead zone area. I mean, we talked about Trey Sermon. I love Mike Davis this year. I really like Damian Harris. So I'm super fine with hammering wide receivers until we get to that point in the draft too. So typically I like to have at least 4 wide receivers on my team through round 7.
I feel like it's reasonable. And then the question in terms of how you fill it in is like, are you going after tight end early? Are you going after quarterback early? And just depends on where you are and, you know, how you let the draft come to you.
And with that quarterback spot, like if I miss out, if it doesn't feel natural to get one of those, I don't know, top 6 through Russ or even Justin Herbert to throw him in there, then I really like what you did in the last draft of taking 2 like back to back in Trevor Lawrence and Baker Mayfield, or Matthew Stafford and someone else in that area, or Matt Ryan around there too, because I think that there's a really good sweet spot that in back-to-back rounds, you can just take care of it and feel really good about it.
Especially if Ryan's going at QB 18, because
yeah,
come on. That's just ridiculous. Derek Carr got QB 13 last year. We don't think Matt Ryan can get more than QB 18. Jesus. But this was fun, man. I'm gonna go grab myself water and take a break and then enjoy the games, which I think start in like half hour. But I really do appreciate everybody coming by, drafting with us, hanging out. I appreciate you, Josh, for kind of helping me through this and, you know, keeping track of chat while I do the drafts, because it's tough to do everything by myself. And Nick, if you're watching, buddy, we got some people in chat that want jobs. So, you know.
Yeah, he's going to get him. Our support team is awesome, by the way. Shout out to Andre. Shout out to Nick Cole. They do a awesome job. So, and Brett, thanks so much for having me. I've enjoyed these streams we've been doing in the last few weeks, and it's going to be a long 13 days until we get started. 14 days.
Yeah, I'm going to the canyon. I'm shutting off the cell phone for a couple days, and then I'm going to the exact opposite, the glitz and glam of the city.
There you go.
Week. So it's going to be a long September, but
everyone out there, thanks so much for playing on Underdog too. We really appreciate it, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Try it once. It's like football Pringles, and you won't be able to stop. I truly mean that. Truly mean that.
And thank whoever's in this chat for signing up with Underdog, because when you support them, you support me, and I really enjoy being able to do this for a living, and Underdog helps to make that possible for me. So thank you for supporting them, because you're indirectly supporting me when you do that. So
and me. Both of us.
And Josh. Josh needs to pay a mortgage too. Josh has a new place in Brooklyn to pay for. So
there we go.
But thank you everybody for watching and listening. I'll be back tomorrow with an actual Film Room episode on Trey Lance. And then I've got another special surprise coming early next week. So lots more to come. Thank you everybody again. I'll see you in roughly 24 hours. And until then, later.